I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Good morning, everyone. As a reminder to all meeting attendees seeking parking validation for today's meeting, please be sure to scan the QR code located on the back table near the chamber's entrance to claim your discount. If you do not already have a Metropolis account, you will need your license plate number to set up the account in advance of receiving your validation. Please be sure to complete this prior to the end of this morning's meeting, as the QR code will be removed at the conclusion of today's meeting. Also, as a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Castleberry.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schlepper is absent. Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Ms. Turner.
Present.
Mr. Hauser is absent at the moment. Council President Miller.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And the next item on the agenda is public comment. Has anybody signed in?
Lou.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Today is the day for our judicial system coming to the hearing for their budget. Definitely, this reminds me strongly back to 2017. Mr. Mark Stanton, my new hero at the time, yes, it's funny to some people, but not to others. He made a very big speech here for people to realize, well, we have homeless entities in the judicial system, public defender's office. I'm here again, firmly support this particular office gets a proper funding for their work. We do not need more people to go into mass incarceration. Just like all the entities, all the leaders in this county have been neglecting the condition of county jails for a long, long time. Nobody really was brave enough to actually break the ice. So now, at this hard time, we have to spend way more money and time to build a so-called new, bigger county jails somewhere else, not downtown. This caused lots of chain reactions with lots of negative effects. And for recent years, all the negative comments you guys all have been heard, at different county council meetings. And please understand that today, the basic needs of the county residents are being attacked. Should we spend money to put other projects over essential basic needs of our county residents? Please be responsible. Don't think you will not be accountable. Thank you.
Wendy Hunter.
Council President Miller, members of council, thank you again for this opportunity to speak. My name is Wendy Hunter. I'm the Director of Family Services at Canopy Child Advocacy Center. I'm a counselor and advocate, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. I know that these budget decisions are incredibly difficult. You're being asked to make hard choices amongst critical services. On behalf of children and families in our community, I want to thank you all for your continued support. I work directly with the Child Protection Team program. It is Cuyahoga County's lifeline for children who are victims of severe physical abuse and neglect. By bringing together partners under a trauma-informed One Approach umbrella, we allow children to have one forensic interview, one medical exam, and prevent the trauma that they experience by being interviewed and examined across multiple hospitals and multiple partners. The difference is profound. Children are less traumatized and families experience a wraparound services of support. I have seen firsthand what happens when the CPT program isn't available to families. we lose evidence, families feel unsupported, and in some cases, families never come back for services. When families can't connect right away, they lose the hope that they get when they experience the wraparound services at Canopy. Every day a child and family waits, opportunities for healing and protection are lost. What keeps me going in this field is knowing and understanding that when children and families walk through the door at Canopy, they feel hope, guidance, and support, and it's a pathway for safety, healing, and justice. And I know that if it was my child, I would want them to experience the services that we have at Canopy, because it could be any one of us. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment portion for this morning's meeting.
Thank you very much, and it is now time for me to turn over the gavel to Councilwoman Turner to conduct the budget hearing.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues, fiscal staff, members of the public. We reconvened this morning to continue our 2026-2027 budget hearings and this is Committee of the Whole. Today's agenda reflects a significant portion of our county's justice and governance systems. The budgets we review this morning represent not only statutory responsibilities, but also the daily functions that uphold fairness, due process, accountability, and public trust in Cuyahoga County. We have a full schedule, and we appreciate the preparation and collaboration of each of our presenters and all that you have brought to this process. In the interest of time, we ask that presentations remain focused on key operational priorities, staffing needs, service impacts, and any notable changes from prior years so that we can have a clear and productive discussion. This morning, we'll take this item out of order, but it'll go as follows. Domestic Relations Court, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court, Probate Court, 8th District Court of Appeals, Prosecutor's Office, Public Defender, Veteran Service Commission, Human Resources, Personnel Review Commission, Communications, Board of Elections, Internal Audit, Inspector General, and to conclude with the Law Department. We thank each of you in advance for your clarity and transparency that you provide today. Your work is essential to ensuring that our county's justice system and core services operate with integrity, accessibility, and efficiency. With that, we begin with the Domestic Relations Court, the Honorable.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah.
May I read the
Yes, ma'am.
item into the record? Thank you. Resolution 2025-0293, adopting the 2026-2027 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program.
With that, we'll begin with the Domestic Relations Court. The Honorable Judge Diane Palos is joining by Zoom. In person, we have the Deputy Court Administrator and Fiscal Specialist, if they would come forward at this time. Good morning.
Oh, we're waiting for Judge Taylor.
Am I ready?
Okay.
Yes, we hear you, Judge. Good
Okay,
morning.
Good, I didn't know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of council members for allowing me to appear today by Zoom. It's very helpful to me. Thank you so much. The Domestic Relations Court accepts the executive's recommended 2026-2027 budget contingent upon inclusion of the 4 requests previously submitted as technical adjustments as confirmed by the OBM director. Those technical adjustments include 4 salaries for existing positions that were inadvertently omitted from the recommended budget, as well as training and membership allocations for the judges. In addition, the court's case management system contract with ProWare is not yet included because the contract has not been approved. Once finalized, it will add an additional $25,000 in 2026 and $70,000 in 2027. The court has worked collaboratively with the Court of Common Pleas General Division to reduce overall costs and avoid duplication of effort. We appreciate the county's continued partnership in advancing our shared mission to serve the public with integrity, efficiency, and fairness. This court continues to demonstrate fiscal responsibility and meaningful public service impact through several key initiatives. For example, regarding our domestic violence department, in partnership with the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women, the court has recently been awarded a 3-year, $600,000 grant with no match required. This funding will provide training to judges, magistrates, court staff, and justice personnel on issues related to domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. It will also support a dedicated domestic violence case manager to coordinate the docket and a domestic violence advocate to provide court-based services for survivors, strengthening coordinated systems and community-based responses for these critical issues. Another initiative is our Families First program, founded in 2018 by the Honorable Tanya R. Jones with support from the Adams Board of Cuyahoga County. This first in Ohio program links parents facing substance use or mental health challenges with treatment services and resources that promote stability and effective co-parenting. Participants graduate with sustainable co-parenting plans that benefit both parents and their children. To date, this program has assisted more than 35 families with healthier relationships. Families First program receives annual funding assistance from the Adams Board. Our recognized Navigation Services Department Help Center is designed to assist self-represented litigants. Self-represented litigants now make up approximately 66% of our cases. The Help Center is expected to serve over 14,000 people this year. Continuously growing area for our court, we recognize the challenge to continue to help self-represented litigants across, access justice. In response to the continuing and growing need for this, the Navigation Services Department introduced an online platform last year. It's called a Virtual Help Center to increase access to justice and improve court efficiency. The Virtual Help Center development and implementation project was fully funded by a grant by the Supreme Court of Ohio. The Virtual Help Center is a free online platform that navigates self-represented litigants through a series of questions to help determine the appropriate forms and other documentation required to help prepare their case. The Virtual Help Center provides consistent and accurate information, which ensures that users file the correct forms. It is reduced review and correction work. The Navigation Services staff is able to review and process filings prepared by the self-represented litigants in electronic form, allowing staff to serve more individuals more efficiently. The Virtual Help Center is consistently seeing over 2,000 users and 4,400 sessions per month. Since its introduction in October 2024, more than 24,000 users have created an account in that Virtual Help Center. These initiatives highlight the court's commitment to innovation, efficiency, and fiscal responsibility. Despite increasing demands, the court has maintained a disposition efficiency rate exceeding 100% for new filings and motions over the past 5 years. Of our $11 million annual budget, $3.6 million is reimbursed to the general fund through the federal 4D contract, and an additional $800,000 is generated from court fees, demonstrating further prudent management of public resources. Looking ahead, the court hopes to continue working closely with the county to ensure that future budget planning reflects both operational needs and equitable competitive compensation for our employees, whose professionalism and daily commitment to service strengthens our abilities to serve the residents of Cuyahoga County. We remain grateful for the county's partnership and remain committed to collaborating on thoughtful, sustainable approaches that support equity and strengthen our shared mission to serve the residents of Cuyahoga County with fairness, accountability, and efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Do you have anything else to add at this time, or are we ready for questions?
We're ready for questions.
Would you introduce yourselves? You want to?
The green button is lit.
Susan Sweeney, Deputy Court Administrator.
Rion Cadrillo, Fiscal Specialist.
Have any questions? Council President Miller?
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to ask a question of Director Parfiowitz. Madam Chair, Director, my question is the obvious one. Are the 4 items that the court referred to at the beginning of the presentation included in the budget as we have it now? And if not, how much money would be required in 2026 and 2027 to include those items?
Walter Parfiowitz from the Fiscal Office. Through the chair to Councilman Miller, they are not in the budget as is right now. They will be submitted as technical adjustments, roughly $200,000 each year.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good.
No further questions? Thank you.
Great testimony.
Okay, we'll now hear from the Administrative and Presiding Judge, the Honorable Brendan J. Sheehan. My apologies, we changed the order a little bit. Good morning.
Good morning. Council President Miller, Chair of Finance, Councilwoman Meredith Turner, members of council. I am Brendan Sheehan, the Administrative Presiding Judge for the General Division of the Common Pleas Court. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to be here today. First of all, I'd like to thank OBM, specifically Walter P., Shantae, Dan, Irma, the County Executive, Chris Ronayne, and his staff for their assistance in this budget. I also want to thank Andrea Richardson for her efforts and for keeping us on track. And finally, I also want to thank Council President Dale Miller and his staff for their continued participation in our weekly jail review team meetings, and I appreciate his support. Before I address the budget of the General Division, I'd like to take a short moment and make a statement to council. As you know, on January 1st of 2026, I will no longer serve as the administrative judge of the General Division. I became the administrative judge in January of 2020, just 2 months before COVID. It wasn't the welcome that I wish for anyone. But during those very difficult times, I was constantly impressed by the work that we were able to accomplish together. I would like to thank you, council, for the past 6 years for our work together for the benefit of the citizens of Cuyahoga County. And it's been an honor of my career to be able to serve the community in this role and represent the 34 judges of our bench. Judge Michael Shaughnessy will serve as the next administrative judge. He's in the back there next to me. He will be excellent, and I wish him all the best. I'd also like to finally thank our court administrative staff, Court Administrator Greg Popovich, Deputy Court Administrator Andrea Canast, and especially our Fiscal Officer, Colleen Brown, for their work throughout this entire year. I'd be remiss if I didn't, again, also thank the judges of the General Division for trusting me and also all of our staff for their tireless efforts in serving this community and giving me the opportunity to be here before you. Thank you to all our stakeholders who we meet every week. We talk about issues going on in our county every week on a Monday morning call. And now, with all that thanking, I'd like to give you and say that the court is satisfied with its budget as recommended by the executive at this time. If I could make one last statement, and that is, as administrative judge for the past 6 years, I've had the pleasure of working with the Domestic Relations Court, the Juvenile Court, the probate court, as well as the Court of Appeals and all of their administrators. And although they will address their own budgets, I just want to say that I support them and appreciate their continued collaboration. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Judge. Questions for
I'll throw one out.
Councilman Sweeney?
Thank you. Hello, Judge.
Hello, Councilman Sweeney.
I just want to say thank you, all right? You served with distinction and strength during some difficult times. You've been my friend a long time, and as this portion of your career winds down, thank you. And you're going to be missed there, but I know Michael's going to do a great job. And
I'm still going to be there, but I'm a phone call away from Judge Shaughnessy, so.
oh, I know, but
Yeah.
a presiding administrative judge is an added responsibility. And you said yes, and it wasn't easy. I watched a couple of them,
Yeah.
but the court ran well, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you, Councilman Sweeney. And if I could say, I started with dark hair, and now I have a lot of gray hair. Anything else?
Madam Chair.
President Miller?
I would just like to add my congratulations on your excellent service to the court, and especially say that I believe that the jail review meetings have been a worthwhile and helpful process, and I hope that it can be continued under the new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for your support in that, too.
Do we have any further questions for the judge?
I have a
Councilwoman
question.
Si-
Just a,
Can we, Andrea, do you want to say something?
thank you.
For the record, Councilmember Simon is in attendance.
Thank you for your service as well on the jail committee. What is your thought about the Garfield site and how that's going to impact transportation of the residents of the jail to the court, back and forth, on call for PV hearings that aren't anticipated? What's your thoughts about that and how that's going to impact the court?
You know, thank you, Councilman Simon, for that question. You know, as you know, with our jail, having the jail next to the courthouse is a luxury, and it was a opportunity for defense lawyers, the probation department, the services people to be next to the individuals to see. I think it's going to be difficult. I know, I hope that we can all work together on that issue with transportation and staffing and getting prisoners to the Justice Center. I mean, those are big hurdles that I know Judge Shaughnessy and I have been talking about. And when he comes into office as the administrative judge, he's engaging the defense bar, engaging the probation departments to make sure that these issues are addressed. So thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Judge. And just a statement or your opinion on how it's going now with the timing of the residents to get up to the courtrooms when the judges call, and how that's going, and does that depend upon whom is hearing the case? What's your thoughts on that?
You know, right now, you would think with the inmates being next to the courthouse, it would be quick. It's not easy. There's staffing issues in the jail, corrections officers not there, jail lists not transposed correctly, and as a result, it is hard to get the individuals to the court. But I will tell you, we talk about that with the sheriff, and we talk about that with our colleagues, and you know, and when there's an issue, we do reach out, and they try to get all hands on deck, but it's not easy.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, well, I guess I'll have the final word, Judge Sheehan. I wanted to thank you again for your presentation, more importantly for your leadership during a global pandemic. I know that required a lot of adjustment on everybody's part, and your steady hand during an unprecedented time in our county's history made a real difference in maintaining continuity of justice and access to the courts. We appreciate your ongoing service and your partnership with this council and your support during the transition of leadership. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Council President, or
All right, thank you.
Turner, thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
Okay, we will now hear from Administrative Judge, the Honorable Thomas F. O'Malley.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
I'm Tim McDevitt, Court Administrator of Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court. Judge O'Malley sends his sincere regrets. He's not feeling well today, and he was so looking forward to talking to you all today. If you would indulge me, it may take more than 5 minutes, but I'm going to read Judge O'Malley's prepared statement word for word.
Yes.
So again, thank you. To the Chair, Madam Chair, Council President Miller, members of Council, Judge Sheehan, Judge Russo, Judge Palos, and Judge Eileen Gallagher, thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court's budget. I stand here representing the Juvenile Court. With me today are Judges Allison Floyd, Judge Kristen Sweeney, Judge Nicholas Celebrezzi, Judge Ann McDonough, and Judge Jennifer O'Malley were not able to make it today. Also joining me are Deputy Court Administrators Bridget Gibbons, Van Ward, and Deputy Court Administrator and Chief Legal Counsel Janine Nickerson, as well as Drug Court Magistrate and Senior Communications Officer Mark Stanton, Chief Probation Officer Sarah Pubens, and Director of Fiscal Resources Rob Watson.
Excuse me, if you would indulge me, those individuals that you mentioned that are present, could they come forward?
Sure.
No one does it alone, so I just want you to have the support of your team. Spread out. Come on, y'all. Good morning.
Yeah. So there are many others joining us, Madam Chair. However, I will recognize them momentarily. Council President Miller and members of Council, Madam Chair, I first want to thank you for taking the time to meet with us over the past several months and for coming to tour our detention center. I truly feel that each and every one of you has a better understanding of what programs we have at Juvenile Court and better understand our mission. I would also like to thank County Executive Chris Ronayne for making his staff available to discuss our budget, to Katie Gallagher and Walter P., Trevor McAleer, thank you for taking the time to understand our needs. Judge O'Malley, again, I'll read this in his voice. I was recently elected to serve my colleagues as administrative judge for the 26 and 27 calendar years. This will mark my 12th and 13th year as administrative judge. I've presented the juvenile court budget to the county commissioners and to county council. Some of those have been memorable. I'm having my knee replaced on Monday, and I honestly thought this year's budget was going to be more painful. I was wrong. The budget proposed by the county executive includes funding for salaries, for overtime in the detention center, for probation department, for Securus, a new court recording system, and funds to update our computers, both of which are severely outdated. They have allowed us to do staff equity adjustments so we can retain and attract qualified employees and have the provided funding for residential treatment. I believe the county executive and his staff understand our challenges and needs. As with everything we do at the court, we are always looking for ways to improve. I know we are the biggest juvenile court in the state, and I am confident that we are also the best. We have maintained our #1 position, if you will, as is always looking to do what we can to improve. With the help of Councilman Gallagher, a Juvenile Justice Advisory Board was formed to have those on the outside, involved and concerned members of the community, dissect the ways we operate to see where we might improve. Councilman Gallagher, thank you for taking such an interest in the children and families of Cuyahoga County. Councilman Gallagher put together a board that was made up of the following individuals who are with us today. The Honorable Ron Adrian, who was board chair and is the retired administrative judge of Cleveland Municipal Court. Jennifer Bloomhagen Yarum, served as vice chair and is the executive director at Applewood Centers Incorporated. The Honorable Robert McClelland serves as a mediator for the Court of Common Pleas and is a retired common pleas court judge. Marvin Cross, retired commander of the Cleveland Police, and Bridget Gibbons works as deputy court administrator for the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court. There was also a group of people who assisted and advised the board. These folks testified before the board over the span of 11 months. They deserve to be recognized and thanked. This group was made up of the following individuals: Ms. Cyanne Blackwell, Youth Justice Collaborative Policy Associate; Ms. Ginger Van Wagenen, member of the Greater Cleveland Congregations; Pat Glendura, ACLU Policy Strategist; Ms. Leah Winsberg, the Public Defender's Office, Community Engagement Attorney; Mr. Mark Stanton, our Magistrate and Senior Communications Officer; Ms. Hannah Wiltshire, Attorney and CASA; Ms. Nikita Strange; Ms. Gabriella Celeste, Policy Director at the Schubert Center for Child Studies; Mr. Patrick McCarthy, former President and CEO of the Annie E. Casey Foundation; Mr. Darius Johnson, MST Therapist, Juvenile Court; Ms. Gabrielle Neves, Intervention Specialist, Juvenile Court; Mr. Adam Kosornak, Probation Manager, Juvenile Court; Ms. Tanisha Walls, Probation Officer; Ms. Tamika Potter, Clinical Director at Applewood Centers; Ms. Jocelyn Rosnick, ACLU Policy Director; Mr. Colin Sweeney, Chief Public Defender; Ms. Brooks Burns, Chief Counsel, Juvenile Department at the Office of the Ohio Public Defender; Mr. Sam Amata, Supervisor of the Youth and Parent Division of the Public Defender's Office; Ms. Kenyatta Johnson, Licensed Social Worker in the Public Defender's Office; Ms. Kira Mullen, Mitigation Specialist, Juvenile Court; Ms. Sarah Honig, Assistant Public Defender; and Ms. Ashley Stebbins, Deputy Chief Public Defender. If we omitted anybody, I apologize, but as you can see, there was a great number of people involved in this important work.
Can you pause for 1 second and catch your breath? If any of those individuals mentioned are present, can you stand to be recognized? We want to also thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. These board and committee members met on July 1st, 2024, August 19th, September 25th, October 28th, November 11th, January 27th, 2025, February 26th, March 20th, May 1st, May 23rd, May 28th, each meeting lasting at least 90 minutes. This group of individuals was asked, where can the juvenile court improve and how can they better serve the youth and families of Cuyahoga County? In juvenile court, 9 times out of 10, we are dealing with youth, their families, and their school. If a youth is placed on probation, the probation officer needs to get the entire family involved if probation services are going to work. The majority of youth on probation are for a felony, and over 70% of the youth in the juvenile justice system have a diagnosable mental health disorder. These youth require multi-system teams to be successful so that they do not return to the judicial system. Currently, our probation officers supervise approximately 30 youth. The Annie E. Casey Foundation recommends that a juvenile probation officer should supervise approximately 12 to 15 youth. The Advisory Council examined every aspect of juvenile court, spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, and is recommending that if we want to improve community safety and effectively monitor youth with unique needs, we should add an additional 15 probation officers. This would allow each probation officer to supervise approximately 20 youth. As a court, we couldn't agree more. I can speak for my fellow jurists when youth is placed on probation. That is a privilege, and it usually comes with numerous conditions. Random urine screens, mental health treatment, daily sign-in sheets at school, no contact with the victim or co-delinquents, fingerprinting, DNA, gun prevention programs, community service work, and day report program. There are many more conditions that I am confident each of one of my colleagues could stand up and rattle off 5 or 6 more conditions. The point is that the advisory council is correct. Based on their analysis and our review of their findings, I am requesting funding for an additional 15 probation officers. That funding would be about $1.5 million. The second area where the advisory council found we could do better to serve the needs of our families and youth is alternative to detention. Again, we agree 100%. The court needs trauma-informed group homes, respite care, and residential beds. Alternatives to detention are needed for young people instead of placing them in our detention center. I'm talking about youth that are court-involved but don't belong in the detention center or can't or shouldn't remain in their homes. An alternative, a secure and safe place is needed. The detention center is often used for youth in need of placement, youth in CFS custody when the agency is unable to secure placement. And all parties are concerned that the youth is a flight risk. To have those youth placed in our detention center would do more harm than good. Youth that have these are youth that have complex behavioral needs. To fund this, alternatives would require about $1 million. We at Juvenile Court are aware of the county's budget issues, and we respect and do not envy your upcoming decisions on the entire county budget. We believe and support the Advisory Council's findings and recommendations, and we also, again, want to publicly thank them for their tireless effort and their keen insight. We at Juvenile Court, along with 28 individuals that I have named earlier, are asking that the council appropriate an additional $2.5 million, which is over and above what the county executive's office is recommending to satisfy the cost of the 15 additional probation officers and the necessary alternatives to detention. Should you have any questions regarding the additional 15 probation officers, our Chief Probation Officer, Sarah Pubens, would be happy to answer them. If you have any additional questions regarding alternatives to detention, Deputy Court Administrator Bridget Gibbons can answer those, and I will be happy to answer any questions as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and thank the judge for his thoughtful, transparent words, heartfelt words. We'll open it up for questions. We'll turn it up to the chair, Mike Gallagher.
Thank you all for being here. So this was the day that we were all looking forward to when Cheryl Stevens, for my friends that weren't here, on her way out, threw the kind of a hand grenade in my lap, suggesting that we take a shot at putting a group together to help the juvenile court out, the families, the children that find themselves in front of these good people. So we did. And because all we hear is the bad stuff. So we put this great committee together. Thank you. They worked hard. And I'll paraphrase, a recent past mayor of Cleveland once said, when things were getting tough and there was trouble on the streets, and he said, and I paraphrase, it's not that we don't know what the problem is. We've identified the problem. The problem is we haven't done anything about the problem. And while that sounds funny, it's true. So here before us is an opportunity to address the problem. And not because we want to do it, because an independent group came out and said, here's what we need for these people to do their job. And I always told the council, I said, we're taking a chance. not as big a chance as these people took because they opened their door and let us in. That doesn't happen in Cuyahoga County. It's never happened before. So you bared yourself bare in front of an outside group who we all knew and we respected, and they came back with recommendations. So who are we if we don't act? So I'm going to be asking the council to fully fund all the recommendations, not just the ones that you've identified. I can't suggest and even promise you that that's going to happen, but I can promise you we're going to do our best to provide to you the tools you need to make these kids safer.
Thank you, Councilman.
So I'll leave it at that. Thank you to the committee. Thank you, judges. This is personal.
Thank you, Councilman.
Period. Ms. Simon?
Thank you so much, everybody. It was really a privilege to be able to hear from the committee and the really thoughtful discussions that happened over so many months. And I wanted to point out, and I think my colleague Gallagher did as well, that the requests today for the probation officers and residential treatment alternative are just two of the recommendations, the multiple recommendations that came through that committee. And I think it's very reasonable that the court came back with a priority request, and I understood in that there's so many other needs, but you were a good partner with the county to say, hey, we understand your budget situation. We're going to really highlight what's most needed now. And for me, I really appreciate that and support this request. The kids are the future. We say that it's glib, but it's true. We need to do everything we can at this level to prevent further incarceration in our county jail. So I support this 2.5, I think you said, and we'll look at the other recommendations as well. But for sure, this triage approach is appreciated. Thank you. And to everybody who participated.
Thank you.
President Miller?
Madam Chair, Honorable Judge, thank you very much for your presentation. And could you summarize for me how much was requested for the additional parole officers and how much was requested for the alternatives to detention?
So, Madam Chair, to Council President Miller, for 15 additional probation officers, the cost will be approximately $1.5 million. For alternatives to detention, the cost, again, will be approximately $1 million.
And is this over the biennium or per year?
Per year.
Per year, okay. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
I'd like to recognize that Councilman Jones is in attendance. Okay. Do you have any further questions? Okay. Well, then I'll say that we recognize that the request before us today regarding additional staffing and resources for detention and alternatives to detention are greatly important. I appreciate the collaboration amongst council members, especially those sentiments expressed by my colleague, Chairman Gallagher, in recognizing the urgency of these needs. So we will do our best.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we're probation. The Honorable Anthony J. Russo.
Council President Miller, Councilwoman Turner, members of council, good morning. I'm Judge Anthony Russo, the presiding and administrative judge of the probate court. On behalf of myself and my colleague, Judge Laura Gallagher, a key partner in everything we do at the probate court, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here today to discuss the vital services we provide to the citizens of Cuyahoga County. At this time, I'd like to introduce Judge Gallagher and also our team, our executive team, Court Administrator Jennifer Alexander and Deputy Administrator Courtney Verardi. I've been here every 2 years since the inception of the county government in 2009, addressing the council regarding our budget and the programs and services we provide. This will, however, be my last time that you see me. At the end of next year, after 34 years as a judge and 18 years as the probates court presiding and administrative judge, I'll be retiring. During those years as administrative judge, the probate court has never had to come before council to request additional funding. Furthermore, we've never exceeded our budget, always returning money to the county at the end of each year. I'm confident that after I leave, this efficient and effective fiscal management will continue. The probate court always strives for excellence, serving our citizens with courtesy, competence, and respect. We're constantly searching for more effective ways to perform the necessary functions mandated by the Ohio Constitution and the Ohio Revised Code. The probate court is projected to have approximately 14,000 new case filings and approximately 6,700 marriage licenses by the end of this year. I'd like to quickly discuss our special programs. The first is the Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program. It's called AOT. After working in partnership with the Cuyahoga County Adams Board, the probate court established our own Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program to reduce the incidence and duration of inpatient psychiatric hospitalizations, homelessness, and interactions with the criminal justice system for persons with severe mental illness. The probate court conducts monthly meetings with program participants and their treatment managers to encourage their commitment to the treatment goals. We have developed a meaningful relationship and established regular communication with key community partners. The participants have generally experienced great success. The court currently has 21 program participants, with 7 waiting to be linked with a provider to join the program. If these providers are not available to lack of county funding to the Adams Board, this crucial program cannot continue. We also have a resource center. Court proceedings involving the death of a loved one and guardianship cases are often emotional and confusing. We opened our Courts Resource Center in February 2019 to assist self-represented individuals in dealing with simple estates, guardianships, and name changes. The Resource Center is now staffed 4 days per week with 14 attorneys offering their services 1 day each month. There's no charge for the public for this program. It's free legal services provided by the probate court to all the residents of Cuyahoga County. Since its inception, the Resource Center has assisted more than 6,000 self-represented individuals. This program is funded by the court's restricted funds and not from the county's general fund. One of our main programs is the Guardian Partners Program. This program was created in 2020 and it was quickly put on hold due to COVID-19 pandemic. And it was restarted a couple years later. The court currently has 7,400 adult wards under guardianship in Cuyahoga County. This program was created to ensure that these most vulnerable residents in our community who are unable to care for themselves due to mental or physical disabilities receive proper care. The program has evolved to include 1 in-house guardian partner that works for the court and 14 community-based guardian partners who carry out in-person wellness visits with the adult ward at nursing home, assisted living facilities, group homes, and private residences. The in-house guardian partner is a seasoned social worker and court investigator, while the community guardian partners are licensed social workers and attorneys with substantial field experience. After these in-person visits, are reports filed with the court to ensure that the needs of the ward are being met. To date, over the past 3 years, we have nearly 9,000 resolutions or completed visits with reports filed and results reported to the court. Every adult ward in Cuyahoga County has been visited at least 1 time since the program's inception. The court uses its own restricted funds and is not requesting any additional appropriations from the general fund to support this program. We also are involved with the Great Estates Program. It's in partnership with the County Executive's Office. This is designed to help residents avoid the unnecessary costs and delays in settling estates. The Great Estates Program provides guidance, documents for real estate, bank accounts, motor vehicles, and other personal properties to ensure that upon death, these assets are passed directly to the intended beneficiary without going through probate. This program has been overwhelmingly well-received, and we have, since its inception, completed 24 community events, with many more scheduled. The court looks forward to continuing this important program. Again, this is a free service we provide in cooperation with the Office of the County Executive and has no budgetary impact for the court. Since 2011, the court has offered a legal extern program, hosting students from Akron, Cleveland State, and Case Western Reserve. These students earn law school credit, gain practical work experience, and provide invaluable hours of unpaid time assisting with legal research and court functions to the ultimate benefit of the public. Furthermore, upon graduation, many of these talented externs wind up staying in Cuyahoga County, contributing to our economy and making a positive impact on our legal system. We've had 68 interns successfully complete this program, again, at no cost to the public and no budgetary impact for the court or the county. The probate court has consistently been an effective partner with Cuyahoga County in developing our budget and working within the budget appropriated by council. The court expects to generate approximately $1.6 million in filing fees and court costs this year to offset against our budget. We also get reimbursed by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services $75,000, which goes to the county. Similar reimbursement is expected this year. The court also contributes money to the county from our special revenue funds to offset general appropriations if necessary. Lastly, as the presiding judge of the probate court, I appoint the Board of Park Commissioners for the Cleveland Metro Parks, one of the greatest and most important assets in this community. Their record of achievement over the past 17 years is well known to all of you and too numerous to mention here. But I'd like to encourage you to include them as a necessary partner as you consider any major lakefront development decisions. The Cleveland Metro Parks is a separate government entity funded by their own property tax levy, and hence they don't affect our budget at all. At this time, I'd like to request that you approve our biennial budget for the probate court and recommended by the Office of Budget and Management and the County Executive. I'd like to commend OBM Director Walter Peffridge and our budget analysts, Irma Robinson and Daniel Harrell, for their outstanding efforts they've extended to myself and my administrative staff. It's always been an honor and a pleasure working with the various county executives, council persons, and budget analysts over the past several years for the betterment of the probate court and the public we serve. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for your time and attention this morning. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much again.
All right, Judge. Thank you. Ms. Simon?
Thank you, through the chair, to the judge. I just want to say, great job. Thank you so much. And for the public, as a new lawyer, I met Judge Russo in domestic relations court. And I'll never forget, I was up against a formidable DR attorney in the community that his name won't be spoken, but I remember the judge said, and I was up against this, and the judge said, you know what? Don't even worry. He had faith in me that I could contend with this person, and I'll never forget that. So I stood up and got through the case, but little things that judges do make a difference with lawyers. So this was one example, so I wanted to tell you that.
You're still standing up.
I'm still standing up, yeah. So thank you so much, and your transition from DR to probate was seamless and made a difference in that court as well. So thank you
very
so much for your
I appreciate
service.
your comments.
And congratulations on retirement around the corner.
Okay, thank you very much.
I got a kiss. May I?
Mr. Sweeney?
Sorry, Judge. I just want to say thank you for your years of service. When he says we attend these neighborhood meetings, it's not we, it's he and the other judge actually come out, and that should be commended. Not all the time that occurs. And I just want to say thank you. You did a great job. You're going to be a legend here, and we'll work on a statue for you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Judge, I also want to thank you for your years of service, Judge. I know you're ready to go.
Judge Russo?
It's okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, moving right along. We'll now hear from the Court of Appeals of Ohio, 8th Appellate District, Administrative Judge, the Honorable Eileen A. Gallagher.
Good morning, Council President Miller, Chair Turner, members of the Cuyahoga County Council. I am Judge Eileen A. Gallagher and I'm the Administrative Judge of the 8th District Court of Appeals. I'd like to thank the OBM staff and Walter B. for their work in assisting us in assembling our budget for the next 2 years. We appreciate your thoughtful consideration of our needs for this budget term and I point out to you that our budget is not big, but it is beautiful. We've worked very hard to prepare the budget based on our needs. We've honed it and pared it down to minimum but necessary items. I believe we've been good stewards of the county funds. Also, I'd like to thank the Common Pleas Court General Division, who has absorbed us into funds that they have for our computer refresh expense, which amounts to over $240,000. They've agreed to include us in that, and we do appreciate that. With that understanding, we accept our budget as proposed and thank all of you for your thoughtful consideration of our needs.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Judge?
I'll try another one.
Mr. Sweeney.
I just want to say thank you. It's nice seeing you.
It's always
She was
a
my
pleasure.
boss at probation, and her mother was my favorite constituent.
And the last case I tried as a lawyer was in small claims court in Cleveland Municipal Court for myself, and you were the magistrate.
Stop it.
It's a small world, Marty.
I have to recuse myself now. No, I'm just kidding. But I just want to say hi to my friend.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Judge.
all very much.
Thank you. Now hear from the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney, the Honorable Michael C. O'Malley. Welcome.
Good morning, County Council. It's a pleasure to be here today. You see our budget, you know what we do. We process over 10,000 criminal cases a year in adult court. We handle dozens and dozens of civil lawsuits. We handle thousands of complaints at the juvenile court. We handle appeals, more than we care to admit. And I have a very, very fine office that does a tremendous job on behalf of the people in Cuyahoga County. My budget staff, led by Jim Ginley, has sat down with OBM. I think we're pretty much in agreement on everything. I think there's one issue where we got our criminal justice computer system. We got our contract in late, so I think that's a proposed amendment. It is. And short of that, I think we're pretty much in agreement. I also want to thank Jim Ginley for his, how many years in the county? 40?
Just under 40.
For his 40 years of service, as he's going to be departing in the next few months for a permanent retirement. I just want to thank Jim for all of his work on behalf of the people of Cuyahoga County, the Common Pleas Court where he previously worked, as well as my own office. But we're certainly here to answer any questions, and we thank your consideration on this proposed budget.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Mr. Gallagher?
So what's the cost on that amendment?
Jim, what was the cost on the amendment for Matrix?
It's a little bit
We were paying $50,000 a month for.
for 5 years. There was no inflationary increase.
Mr. McGinley, if you could speak directly into the microphone, please.
There was no inflationary increase, so the first year it's going to go up to 52.5. The other years it's also going to go up like just under 2,000 each month. This is an inflationary reaction. We had a stagnant contract. We enjoyed it. And we also are spending about $60,000 for an interface with the juvenile court to facilitate all of our efforts. So the contract's going to be a little less than $33,500,000 overall, and then right now we're paying like $3 million something because of the 60,000 a month.
So the differential.
A half a million or less than that
Over the 2 years,
over the 5 years.
over the 5 years.
Over 5. Okay.
So not much of an increase.
Yeah, the contract doesn't take effect until March, so that has not even been before you. But that difference between what it is now going to be and is already factored into our budget.
Any further questions?
Thank you, County Council.
Thank you. Okay, we'll hear from the Office of the Public Defender, Chief Public Defender Cullen Sweeney.
Good morning, Chair, Council President, members of Council. Cullen Sweeney on behalf of the Public Defender's Office. I appreciate the opportunity to present this morning. Before talking about our budget, I did want to comment briefly about the request by Juvenile Court and the Advisory Committee. I want to thank Councilman Gallagher for setting that committee up. We did participate and engage with it and gave our feedback about things that we see from our vantage point of representing young people in the system. And the committee did a great job of encapsulating all those recommendations. And I would just lend my support for what it's worth for what they're asking for. I think it will it's not only the right thing to do and will pay dividends for our children going through the system, but it also will, it's a cost savings measure long term. Ultimately, it means less people getting deeper into the justice system, less kids going to ODYS, less people going to adult prison. And so I just would really urge council to support that. I have a couple things I just wanted to talk about real quickly, and then I'll just turn to the budget. So our office, we have about 150 employees. In 2024, we handled over 31,000 cases and proceedings ranging from municipal court representing individuals in the city of Cleveland to felony cases to cases in juvenile court where we represent both kids and parents facing separation of their families in child custody proceedings. And just in the last couple of years, a couple things that have been added to our plate. They're small, but still significant. We started representing indigent parents in probate court. The Ohio Supreme Court recognized a right to counsel in contested adoption proceedings involving indigent parents. And we don't get a lot of those cases, but probate court reached out to us and we agreed to handle them. We also handle contempt cases now, generally involving child support and domestic relations court for indigent parents, but some other contempt proceedings as well. And so that's another thing we've added. And in juvenile court, we've, working with the judges there, we've increased our representation from about 30% of all kids to about 50%. And we appreciate their collaboration on that. Just one thing I want to highlight is the impact of our record sealing work. So we also represent individuals in post-conviction proceedings in common pleas court. And the General Assembly has substantially expanded eligibility for record sealing, recognizing the amount of collateral consequences from convictions. What that has meant has been a substantial increase in the number of records we've been able to seal. As you can see, it's almost doubled since 2022, with about 1,400 people getting felony records sealed last year. One other thing that we've really focused on the last couple of years, thanks to a couple of grants that we've been able to obtain from the Ohio Supreme Court and more recently from St. Luke's Foundation, is an early parent representation program that's a collaboration with DCFS where we get early referrals of individuals where they're looking at potentially filing in juvenile court. And they give us an opportunity to work with the families to see if there's a way to remedy whatever issue there is. These are non-emergency filing cases. Remedy whatever issues there are and possibly stave off a filing. And it's been a very successful program that has prevented unnecessary removals. And from our last budget, we hired a community engagement attorney. We've seen an increase in the amount of requests for community clinics related to license suspensions, expungements, and basically education about the criminal justice system. And we've engaged in a bunch of projects related to that. And one of the other things that's been a focus of ours is helping with those leaving the county jail. And in collaboration with the Office of Reentry and the sheriff, we have worked on a reentry project to ensure that those leaving the jail have the resources they need to at least get on their feet when they get out. So one thing I think everyone on this council knows, but I just think it's important to emphasize, is that the state of Ohio shares the financial burden of indigent defense, and they have for years. But in the most recent years, their commitment to indigent defense has increased. And so that's meant a higher reimbursement rate for the county. So currently, the reimbursement rate is 82%. And so that means that the county's actual cost to the county is just 18% of our budget. That rate is anticipated to be at that level for the next state fiscal year. It could fluctuate some, but it's not anticipated to fluctuate too much. With respect to our budget, I do appreciate the opportunity to work with the fiscal department for our team to lay out what our needs are, and they worked collaboratively with us to set our budget for 2026, 2027. Thanks to the work of former public defender Mark Stanton, we have really seen an increase in staffing, salary parity, and other resources over the years, and that county council has funded, and which we appreciate. This year, we can fortunately say that we're not asking for anything more from council for the first time in a few years, and we would accept the county executive's recommended budget here. And this last slide just highlights the cost of the county for our budget in the general fund is about $4 million. The last thing I would highlight is that we do have a contract with the City of Cleveland. They pay for 100% of our representation in the City of Cleveland. The reimbursement flows back through the county. The county gets 3% of that reimbursement. And so it is a income generating, albeit small, contract with the City of Cleveland. And with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions for our public defender? Seeing that we have none, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, council.
Now hear from the Cuyahoga County Veterans Service Commission, Executive Director John Reese. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and rest of council. I'm John Rice. I'm the Executive Director for the Cuyahoga County Veterans Service Commission. I am joined here today by two of my commissioners for the for the Veterans Service Commission, Mel Baer and Lennon Wright, representing the American Legion and the DAV. The Veterans Service Commission respectfully requests that council approve the budget as submitted. The Veterans Service Commission requests its budget mandatory to the Ohio Revised Code for each year based on a millage. And we have continued to be respectful to the financial needs of our veterans throughout the last several years, and we continue to request a budget that makes sense for providing such services. As we look forward into 2026, 2027, our budget reflects that we are looking to expand new services as we enter into our new headquarters, which will be opening soon. Some of those services and expansions include involvement or increased involvement in homeless services, transitional and long-term housing opportunities. We've also re-engaged in our services to our medical programs, hearing aids, dental, vision as well. And as we see those things start to increase over the next several months, we'll start to see, you'll start to see why the budget is requested and reflected accordingly. So I welcome any questions from council.
Have any questions for Mr. Rice? President Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, good morning. And just would like if you could give a little more detail on the timing of your move into your new headquarters, and is it going to happen all at once on a particular date? Is it going to be phased in? What's the date that you have in mind, et cetera?
Yeah, so we're right now we are still been projecting a tentative occupancy date of November 20th. That hasn't moved very much. The project has been on schedule for several months, and so we're still projecting that on the 20th of November that we will move in our staff. That's the Thursday prior to Thanksgiving. Over the next several days, ending that week and the next week, if everything goes as planned, we'll have our staff getting settled into the new location and prepping to see clients hopefully the very following Monday, which would be December 1st. So far, everything's looking great. They're going to be pouring concrete on the lot in the next couple of days, and then everything else has been it's been amazing. The transformation over the last several weeks has been great. As someone who doesn't do construction for a living, it looked like there was a lull, but all those were behind the walls progress that I couldn't see myself. So it's been great.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Rice. I just want to thank you for what you do for the veterans. I work with one of the people in the commission, and I know he's out of Rittman today doing funerals. But it's a very necessary commission that you have, and I just again want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions for the director? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. We'll now hear from the Department of Human Resources and Benefits Director, Sarah Nemestol. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Council President Miller, members of council. Sarah Nemestol, I'm the Director of the Human Resources for the County Executive. So I have a brief budget presentation for you all today. I want to start by thanking you for providing me an opportunity to present on our biennial budget. So in summary, we're looking at approximately $180 million budget for 2026 and $187.6 million budget for 2027. In terms of personnel, personnel comprises approximately 5% of our budget, totaling $9.3 million for 26 and $9.6 million for 27. This includes 66 FTEs spread across multiple divisions within HR. The remaining 95% of our budget falls into the other expenses category. The majority of those are allotted to our self-insurance fund, which supports our medical and prescription drug benefit programs, our dental and vision programs, Ask Me Care Plan expenses, the wellness program, life insurance, and various contractual expenses to administer our benefit programs. The remainder of HR's other expenses support our workers' compensation fund, the tuition reimbursement program, the RTA subsidy, and other contractual and non-contractual expenses for our department.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question on that slide?
Yes, President Miller.
Do I go back? Okay.
So, if you look at 2027 and you add the self-insurance and the workers' compensation, it comes up to 179,780,000, which is the same number that's listed in the other category in the upper part of the slide. But if you make that same addition for 2026 and you add the self-insurance and the workers' compensation, it comes to more than the amount listed under other by $1.5 million or so. Can you explain why that is?
I can't explain why that is because I didn't prepare this presentation. The slides that my business services manager did. Pat, I don't know. And he's absent today, unfortunately, Stephen.
Morning, Pat Smock, Department of Human Resources, and I just came into the room, Councilman. I missed your question, Madam Chair and Councilman. I apologize.
Our
So
figures don't add up.
I'll repeat the question. The question is that on the slide for 2027, if you add the self-insurance plus the workers' compensation, you get the same 179,780,481 that's listed under other on the top half of the slide. But if you make that same addition for 2026, it comes out to more by $1.5 million or so than the other number that and so I'm wondering why that addition works for 2027 but not for 26.
Appreciate the question. I can't answer the question. We'll have to redo the
Mr.
math.
Schmock, if you could speak directly into the
I
microphone,
apologize.
please.
Thank you. I can't explain that standing at the podium, Councilman. I apologize. We'll redo the math quickly and come back.
Okay, thank you.
Either immediately following or during the meeting today. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So taking a closer look at our personnel budget, I'd be remiss if I didn't start by acknowledging my team. We have an extraordinary group of dedicated professionals whose expertise and collaboration help drive our organization every day, and I'm very proud to work with and lead our HR team. We are currently 81 employees strong. 66 of us are included in HR's budget, and 15 are included in Health and Human Services. Our employees work across multiple divisions within HR, playing a critical role in delivering comprehensive HR services, including our benefits administration, compensation, day-to-day general services, HR business partnering, time and attendance, employee and labor relations, training and development, talent acquisition, workers' compensation, and environmental health and safety. Our HR positions are supported by a mix of funding sources, but primarily the general fund. The remainder are supported by special revenue. Taking a closer look at our self-insurance fund, which makes up the majority of our budget. The allotted budget for self-insurance supports a variety of services, but primarily the administration of our medical and prescription drug plans for county employees, funded by employee deductions and department chargebacks. We currently have 12,456 covered lives on our medical plan. The budget does incorporate a projected 10% increase to our medical and prescription drug expenses for 26 and a 5% increase for 27. Our self-insurance fund also supports our dental and vision insurance program, AFSCME Care Union expenses, employee life insurance, and our wellness program. It also supports the BODD's medical benefit program. Their claims are fully reimbursed by BODD, and BODD does pay an administrative fee to the county. In terms of new services, our budget does include funding to outsource our FMLA administration. This is a new service. We're looking at $230,000 annually for '26 and '27. This will provide a thorough FMLA case management to ensure compliance, and it was competitively solicited through an RFP in 2025, and we're currently going through the contract process with the highest scoring vendor. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, do you have any questions? Councilman Gallagher?
It has listed here 68 employees. Did you say you're 81 strong?
Yeah, we have 66 FTEs on our budget, and then there are 15 on Health and Human Services.
Okay. And you went from 54 and 23 to 68 now?
We have 54
66.
in general fund, and then we have 8 FTEs in the self-insurance funding, and we have 4 in the workers' compensation fund. Sure.
Ms. Simon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Director, with regard to the RTA subsidies, are we able to provide to the employees the demand for those subsidies for RTA?
Yes, that was included in our budget for '26 and '27, and
Is it enough, though? That's what I'm asking. Is the demand being met for employees who want to ride?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
The expenses have increased significantly, I think, over the past few years.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, thanks for everything you do for the county. This is a huge operation without which county government just couldn't function. So we appreciate your efforts. And my question is, in terms of the deputy positions, the people that run directly under you, how many direct reports do you have, and are all those positions filled, or are any of them vacant?
Sure. So all of my direct reports are filled. I have an executive assistant who reports to me, our senior manager of HRIS, which stands for Human Resources Information Systems and Compensation, a director of benefits, a director of HR business partnering, whom our HR managers and talent acquisition manager report up to, a director of employee and labor relations, director of employee services, and director of organizational and employee development.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Director, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I just want to thank you. I have the privilege of chairing the HR, and the working relationship that we've been able to establish over the time is, in my eyes, the prototype of how a director and a person should interact. And what I like about you is when we sit and talk, you're open-minded. We talk back and forth, and we come up with something, and you take the ideas that I and the committee have, and you consider it, and things come out of that. But also, I want to thank you for the responsiveness you have to the constituents, our co-workers, on some of the complicated stuff that comes up. And I know you and your team take the compassion to work through it, and that just makes the work environment so much better. So I want to thank you and tell my colleagues that they do a wonderful job.
Thank you. It's a privilege to serve.
Director, you mentioned, maybe don't have the language right, our educational reimbursement program.
Tuition assistance, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, the numbers? Are employees taking advantage of it? Budget-wise, how much are we spending on that?
Employees are taking advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Historically below what has been budgeted for the program, but we are budgeted for '26 and '27 more in line with our actual spend. I don't have the specific figures with me today for participation, but I can follow up with those.
Okay, that would be great. All right, any other questions for our director? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll get you information on that slide, Council President Miller. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now hear from the County Personnel Review Commission, Director Kopinski. I practiced that last night.
Sorry. Good morning. Rebecca Kopczynski for the Personnel Review Commission. I thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'd like to thank our OBM team for their patience in working with us over the past few weeks to get this ready today. We have a brief presentation for you, after which we will answer any questions that you have. Some of you know the PRC is about to enter a period of a little bit of transition. We recently had one of our key managers' roles was vacated by a woman who resigned in a very important role in the organization, and I'm planning to retire in January. So the commissioners are currently looking for a new director, and that's a fairly thorough and well-considered process, so that's underway. They expect to have that complete by December, but it has put a few variables into play here. I am leaving a very well-oiled machine and a very capable staff behind me when I leave, and so I have two of our managers here today to help me. They're going to present brief portions of this presentation, and then I'll be back at the end to put another item on your radar for the future. So at this point, I will turn this over to Albert Bouchahine, our Manager of Classification and Compensation.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you, Rebecca. Members of the committee. So at the PRC, our responsibilities are clearly defined in the county charter. On your screen, you'll be able to see the areas of responsibilities, the four main areas for the PRC. We basically have four different ones, and the first being the civil service testing for classified employees, the administration of the county's non-bargaining classification and salary plans, hearing and resolving appeals that are brought forth by employees regarding employment actions taken by the executive and other agencies. And the last being auditing, reporting, and making recommendations regarding the county's compliance with personnel-related laws, HR policies, and programs. When we are fully staffed, we have 18 FTEs, 1 part-time hearing officer, which is consistent with the county's assessment of our authorized strength. Our current organizational chart, as you can see, is fairly flat. Our staffing is built around the 4 different areas of responsibilities. The blue boxes here represent the majority of our staff and 3 of our 4 operational areas. When they're fully staffed, which they are at this point, except for the one position director mentioned, they have been for some time. We started hearing appeals back in 2012, and our classification and our testing and compensation functions have been functioning since early 2015. The yellow box on the right, there we go. The yellow box on the right represents our compliance auditing function. This position is of our staff attorney, manager of compliance auditing, is the single position in this area of our operations, and it's currently vacant, as Rebecca mentioned, due to a resignation back in October. Rebecca's going to talk about this for a couple minutes at the end of our presentation, but for now, we're going to move on quickly to discuss our budget, and I'm going to turn that over to George Vaughn, our manager of testing.
Good morning. George Vaughn, Manager of Employment Testing for the Personnel Review Commission. So this chart represents our current budget and OBM's most recent 2025 forecast in the greenish columns on the left. The purple columns represent the PRC's budget request for the next 2 years, and the blue columns represent the county executive's proposed budget for 2026 and 2027. Like many county departments, most of our budget is personnel costs. We have 2 contracts, and we also have a small allocation on a 3rd county contract for rarely needed translation services. Otherwise, the rest of our expenses are in operations, and this includes things like our lease at West Shore, space maintenance costs, and security chargebacks, over which we have very little control. The PRC is currently forecasted to be about 4% below our approved budget this year. This will be affected by some outstanding consulting charges that must be paid, as well as that vacant staff attorney manager of compliance auditing position, which we don't expect to be filled before the end of the year. Our budget requests for the next 2 years are each around 2% more than the county executive's proposed budget for the agency, but there are some variables in play next year that will likely affect the agency's budget. Therefore, it may be a bit premature to be overly concerned about these differences until some of these issues are resolved. So speaking of those variables, we have those listed here. The first of which is Rebecca's retirement. That will likely have an impact, and particularly if filling that position involves an internal promotion, that can have a cascading effect throughout the agency, and that would be difficult to predict at this point. The commissioners are also reviewing the staff attorney and manager of compliance auditing position, and they are considering whether to separate these roles. Our hearing officer costs can vary widely depending on the issue of an appeal. And then finally, there is some discussion about a potential move of the agency which could impact our lease costs. However, our latest understanding is that this is not likely to happen before the end of the year, so this could result in no change. And at this point, I'm going to turn this back over to Rebecca to finish our presentation.
Can I have your notes? Thank you, George. As I mentioned earlier, I just want to take a minute to put an issue on your radar that is likely to come back in front of council at some point in the future. This is our compliance auditing responsibility that is articulated in the charter. And it's very clearly stated that we have responsibility to audit, review, report, and make recommendations on local, state, and federal laws that pertain to personnel matters. And just to give you a sense of the scope of this responsibility, the Department of Labor enforces over 180 federal employment-related laws alone. That doesn't include the civil service laws that we audit, that are state laws, and the county policies, which are also considered local law. So the my point is that the responsibilities in this area are vast, and until now, we have had one full-time employee dedicated to this work. If this work is done well, this should be a key element of the county's risk management efforts. The PRC's auditing can help to identify vulnerabilities and risks that could turn into liabilities. And I would add that we don't have any specific data about how these risks and liabilities impact the county, but I do know that county settles, or that county council approves settlements in lawsuits that are brought against the county. So you have some idea that these can become expensive litigation opportunities for employees. And in 2023, the Department of Internal Audit issued a report that addressed the PRC's lack of auditing work and noted that this can increase not only the risk of financial loss and damage to the county's reputation, but it can harm its ability to recruit and retain employees and meet DEI objectives. The fact is that the PRC is relatively limited, very limited, I would say, in our ability to do this work with only one full-time employee. The key point I want to leave you with today is that this role, this opportunity, this responsibility needs to be beefed up in the organizational structure. Not only does it limit the amount of work that can be done, but we use intermittently our support staff to help out to do various things that have to do with record keeping or data management with these tasks. So that winds up being inconsistent, and that approach is not really conducive to the kind of work that needs to be done in an auditing function. More importantly, this has inhibited the development of the bench strength that we need to do this work, because we need knowledge of the county executive's organization, the operations, the record-keeping systems in HR, the HRIS systems, knowledge of our own auditing practices and procedures, and knowledge of the stakeholders that are involved with the different HR operations involved in our audits. And so by using intermittent staff that are not trained in auditing or even in human resources, we're really hampered in our ability to fulfill this part of our responsibilities. I just want to spend a moment pointing out, can you go back? Comparing the oversight agencies, we have a similar role to the Inspector General in internal audit. We focus on different areas, but we do a lot of the same work. And this chart just shows you that they are appear to be somewhat more sufficiently staffed than the PRC. And I'm not here to ask for additional funding at this point, but I did want to put this on your radar because I do expect that once the commission hires a new director and they determine how to fill that next role, you'll likely hear more about this in the future. And after that, we're ready to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, Ms. Simon and Mr. Miller.
Thank you. I just want to just say thanks for all your service to the PRC. You've been here from the beginning, right? And it was challenging to determine whose role was what with, HR and the charter interpretation. And you've been very steadfast in your commitment to the role of PRC, and I appreciate that, and thank you.
Thank you.
And your team.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, I would like to echo those sentiments. You've served the county with distinction. You've made a huge difference, and it's a behind-the-scenes kind of role that doesn't get a lot of splash or attention, but our human resources operation would be in far worse shape than it is if it were not for what you've accomplished over the years. And I know you've said you have an excellent team in place that can carry on, and I appreciate that. But I also know that you will be missed, and so I just want to thank you for everything that you've done. I do have one question, and it's regarding the auditing process, and my question is what you would see as the relationship between the auditing work that you would do in PRC and the auditing work that's done by the internal audit and the inspector general, and how would it be worked out as to what kind of audits are done by each, and are there things that you should be doing that internal auditor, the IG, is currently doing, or are these things that currently nobody is auditing and need to be auditing? Can you give us some sense of those things?
Sure. I could probably talk all day about this, so I'll try to keep my comments restrained. Can there be more work done? Yes, and there should be. That's one of my points today. We have worked relatively closely with the Department of Internal Audit over the years, and there are areas, I think, where we can both contribute to audits that have applicability to our distinct responsibilities under the charter. The Department of Audit, the DIA report that I referenced in my presentation in 2023, that actually was an audit conducted by the Department of Internal Audit where they looked at human resources operations. And to be candid, we were a little prickly about it because it did appear to be clearly within the PRC's responsibility. But they went ahead and did that audit, and I think it laid the groundwork for a lot of work that can be done in the future. Corey Sweisgood and I had discussed the possibility of collaborating on following up on some of those recommendations that came out of that audit, but we just did not have the staff to contribute to that process. So I think, I think with the right people in place, that there are opportunities for collaboration. There are certainly things that HR does that involve fiscal implications. And that's where I think there are opportunities for the two entities to have some common ground. So does that answer your question fully, do you think?
So, not fully. It sounds like you envision there would be some audits that internal audit and the PRC would work together on. Would there be other audits in areas that aren't currently being done that the PRC by itself would do?
Yes, I would think so. again, you know, this is going to be more for the new director to determine, but there is a wealth of opportunity out there to be of assistance to the county in our auditing role, because we can take a look at how well are they complying with the ADA, for example, or the federal Labor Standards Act, which, you know, governs overtime and things like that. That's an area where Corey's often involved as well. But these big pieces of federal legislation are expansive, and there is a ton of opportunity to do auditing in there that I think could be helpful to the human resources leadership. We just have not had the staff to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Rebecca and team, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'd like to just share my thoughts about Council President Miller saying, without you, the HR would be far worse. I'd like to say it'd be less great, just for the record. When I first met you, Rebecca, it was our director. I got a kick out of you saying a little prickly. You take your job very seriously, and you go toe-to-toe, you don't back down, you give your position, and we are better off as a county. And the words that I wrote down before, under the former government, it was a unique way of hiring folks, just to say it lightly. What you established was a culture of fairness. That's how I would describe it, and that's how it should be. If someone wants a job, you put them through the process, and they get ranked, or they get hired for the reasons because they can serve the county in the best capacity after your thorough review. So I just want to applaud you and commend you and thank you, and also say thank you for putting up with me. Right?
It's been a pleasure.
It was a joy to work with you, and
Thank you.
continued success.
It's been a joy to be here. It's been a highlight of my career for sure. These are amazing people to work with, both here and in HR.
Miller?
I would like to also highlight one particular aspect, and just to thank you for your leadership, and I also recognize our Chief of Staff, Joe Nani's leadership on this as well, and in working together to get some better definition and rein in the creation of unclassified positions, and better clarify when positions should be classified and when they should be classified, and I don't think this work is done, but we've come a long way, and I just wanted to commend you for your leadership on that important aspect.
Thank you. Had a great team on that project as well, too. So,
Okay.
well done.
Well, seeing that there are no more questions, I know you're not going just yet.
Not yet.
So
It's a
we're
little
just talking
premature. Yeah,
dollars
still
and
early.
cents right now.
Right.
But thank you.
Thank you both.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Oh. Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll hear from the Department of Communications Director, Kelly Woodard. Good morning.
Good morning. And forgive me, I have a slight cold, but I will get through this hopefully without coughing. Okay. Good morning, Council President Miller, Chairwoman Turner, and members of County Council. My name is Kelly Woodard, and I'm the Director of Communications for the Executive's Office. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the Communications Department's proposed budget for 2026 and 2027. Since I joined the county in August 2023, our team has worked hard to ensure transparent, timely, and engaging communication with residents, the media, and stakeholders, and our staff. Strengthen the county's brand and foster trust in county government, and amplify county programs and services and the executive's priorities. Today, I am presenting a budget of $1.19 million for 2026 and $1.21 million for 2027. Most of our expenses are personnel-related and includes a 2% cost of living adjustment and an increase in health insurance. Additional expenses cover equipment purchases and contracts. The core functions of the communications team include a wide range of external and internal responsibilities. Externally, we manage media relations, including news releases, targeted media outreach, and news conferences to keep the public informed about county programs and initiatives. Internally, we oversee staff communications through an employee newsletter and website management, ensuring consistent and accessible information across departments. Our team also leads multimedia production and graphic design to support countywide campaigns and visual storytelling. In addition, we meet monthly with department directors to stay informed on their priorities and upcoming projects, allowing us to plan and provide coordinated strategic communication support. Over the past 2 years, we've issued more than 100 media releases and hosted numerous news conferences to keep residents informed about major county initiatives like the expansion of the First Call Mental Health Response Program, property tax support during the sexennial appraisal, and most recently, Medicaid and SNAP changes. We're using our own communication channels to tell Cuyahoga County's story directly to residents. Recent features have highlighted topics such as understanding your tax bill, a behind-the-scenes look at the men's shelter expansion, the importance of adoption, and how the Office of Small Business supports local entrepreneurs. Our efforts are paying off. We're experiencing strong growth across digital platforms with steady increases in social media followers, engagement, and reach. This means more residents are seeing, sharing, and interacting with county information than ever before. We're proud of the progress we've made and remain committed to keeping the staff and public informed, engaged, and connected to county government. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions you may have.
Mr. Gallagher?
Welcome.
Yes.
On the staff count in '23, it was 6. '24 it was 7. '25 mid-year 8, and then it's going to be 8 going forward.
Yes, that is the full complement. We are fully staffed at 8. When I first arrived, we had an opening, and then we also had an opening in 2024. But we are sitting at 8.
You had a jump in '23 to '24 from 800,000 to 1.4 million. It seems other expenses were part of that. What do you attribute that to?
Well, when in 2024, we merged the multimedia department with the communications department. So a lot of our expenses we combined, and so that's why we had an increase.
But you merged departments, and that one department was one person?
The multimedia department had 3 people.
That wouldn't be reflected on here accurately then.
Well, 2 of them are part of this budget, and then 1 is in the HHS budget.
So 2 people would accumulate $1.4 million increase over 1 year, or from 800 to 1.4 million?
I mean, I can go back and talk to Director Parfiowicz and look at the numbers, but I mean, that's basically what has happened is that we combined, so we took a lot of their contracts as well that was combined with the communications budget.
Well, then mid-year this year, it went down 140,000, but there's something there that doesn't, the math doesn't math.
Yeah, well, at one point when there was overlap, so the former director of communications was still on the budget as well for part of the year. So I can only assume that's what some of the numbers mean, but I can look into it and get back to you.
it jumps out. It doesn't seem to add up. I'm sure there's some reason for it, but it's not reflected here.
Okay.
So if you could get back to me with that.
Sure.
Simon and Mr. Miller.
Thank you. I just need a point of clarification of the 8 employees, the staff. Does that include the 2 multimedia people on your budget that you absorbed?
Yes.
Okay, 6 plus 2. And then the third multimedia is with HHS. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, it's not very often that I ask broad, open-ended questions in the budget hearings, but I'm going to do one this time. The world of communications is changing rapidly. We have AI, we have trolls, we have a lot of stuff that's more fiction than fact. A lot of inaccurate information out there in cyberspace to deal with, and I'm just looking for your comment on how the way you approach communications is changing in response to this environment. What kind of strategies and what kind of programs are you doing differently because of this environment?
Well, I will say this is a tough media environment for sure. I will say that we are monitoring messages, but we are not engaging in like a personal social media battle on social media with people who might dislike what we do. I think, what we are doing is staying the course with this is who we are as a county. These are the executive's priorities, and making sure that our message is told and hopefully, and we get ahead of any negative messaging or feedback. We are very responsive when it comes to the media, so I think that also helps that we are not shying away from tough questions. And so that's kind of been our strategy and will continue to be our strategy. And so far, it's paying off for us.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gallagher?
AI's here. ASI is probably next year. Are we prepared?
Yes.
And how so?
I mean, I think we are looking at we are using it. I think that's the first part, is that you have to use it.
Right.
You have to know about it and know what's coming. And I'm not saying that it's doing our work for us, but I think it does help to give you an idea of maybe how you might want to present something, and then you put it in your own words for our messaging. So I think that's how we've been using it. But it is a new tool. And I know the county, we have co-pilots, so I think a lot of people are kind of getting our feet wet, so to speak, in it, and we'll just continue to kind of to use it to our advantage.
Yeah, it is a tool, and actually, that's a question for everybody that comes up here. Are you preparing? Because I think it's going to dramatically change the landscape as far as personnel with everybody. And we're going to have to be ready to move as that moves. And it's every day seems to be a new day with that, so.
Yeah, well, and every day there's a new social media platform as well that you just kind of have to keep up, make sure you're on it, and you are monitoring what people are saying, what the appetite for news is, and what people want from us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no further questions for Ms. Woodard.
Okay.
Mr. Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we'll now hear from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections Director, Anthony Perlotti. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. gotta learn how to use this here.
The large green button advances.
I do better at elections than I do at that. So, good morning, everyone. Chairwoman Turner, President Miller, and other members of the council. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity today to come and represent the board members and the Board of Elections and provide testimony on behalf of our budget. Before getting into my presentation, I just want to quickly give you an update on how this past Tuesday went, November 4th, the 2025 general election. We had an overall turnout of about 26%, which is falls within what I expected because it compares to what happened 4 years ago. However, it is what I expected. It is not acceptable, right? That number definitely needs to be a higher percentage always and ever for every election. We need greater participation. Early in-person voting was popular for this election cycle. We had over 8,000 individuals come and vote for the first time in our new early in-person vote center. That's about 1,500 more voters from where we were in 2021, again, in the comparable election. Unfortunately, for vote by mail, that was down from 4 years ago by like 20,000, but we still remain the leader in vote by mail in the state. So for the entirety of the state, I think it's 1 in 3 vote by mail ballots that was sent came out of Cuyahoga County. So we accounted for like a third or so of all the vote by mail out of the 88 counties. We did receive a little over 1,600 provisional ballots from early in person and election day. Staff are currently working on those, viewing them for validity or invalidity. And on November 17th, those ballots then will go before our board members to determine what should be counted in the election and what remains sealed. And then on November 25th is when we will certify the election. As you all know, there's 2 sets of election results. There's the unofficial from Election Day, which represents about 97% or so of all ballots cast. And then we bring in the valid post-election absentees, the provisionals for our certification, and that will happen on the 25th for our final results. Using the unofficial, which again are not the official, as of today, there would be 6 automatic recounts across the county for this election. So we'll see what will happen as the additional valid ballots are brought into the mix. Okay. There we go. So for this upcoming 2026-2027 biennial budget cycle, as of today, I am aware of 6 elections that we will conduct, 3 in 26, 3 in 27. 26 is a federal election year, meaning U.S. Congress is on, as well as we will have the U.S. Senate seat that currently is held by Senator John Husted. That will be up since he was an appointment, so that'll be on the ballot, as well as odd-numbered county council seats, county executive, all of our statewide offices in which there are no incumbents. All of our statewide individuals are term limited out, so those will be open seats. And I say as of now, knowing 6, since I became director in 2019, we have averaged 4 elections a year. We've had 27 elections in my tenure as director, so we will see what happens. I don't know where, but I anticipate we'll have a recall election somewhere in there from one of these communities, and we'll see what else will happen. Also in 2026, what we anticipate is a very busy summer. As of now, I'm aware of 4 constitutional amendments that are being circulated across the state. One of them is Ohio Equal Rights. Another is the Ohio Right to Marry, abolishment of taxes on real property, and protecting Ohioans' constitutional rights. All of which are items that I consider that people get really passionate about, which will drive turnout for November of 26. Secretary of State LaRose, he informed us that he believes there will be 6 statewide issues that will appear on that ballot. I say all that to at the Board of Elections for 2026. We are gearing up for it to be maybe not quite as much, but very similar to a presidential election year. If you have all those statewide issues appearing on the ballot, ones that people are a little bit more interested than as far as like a infrastructure bond or something like that, this will bring the people out. So that's what we anticipate during this budget cycle. Now, the county executive's recommended budget for the Board of Elections, unfortunately, it is not sufficient for the board to execute its required duties and responsibilities at the current service levels that we provide using our best practices. When we budget for elections and we look to 4 years prior to that comparable election, and then we look to the current year to incorporate what those adjustments are. So the inflationary things, wages, and what new contracts are that we have entered into over that 4-year period. And so when looking at the recommended 26 and 27 annual budget, those numbers are actually less than what we expended in the comparables in 22 and 23. In 2022, our expenditures were a little over $18 million, and the comparable 2026 budget is $17.7 million, and our 23 expenditures were $19.5 million, and the recommended 27 budget is $17.9. Now, in 22 and 23, we were at our old building, and now we are in 1803, which I am very thankful for all your roles in making that happen, along with County Executive Ronayne. It was much needed, and the voters have loved it when they've come through. And so when I go back out what those lease payments are and look at it, it's a pretty substantial reduction from where we were. Now, my staff and I have had multiple conversations with Walter P. and his staff at OBM. And through these conversations, we have identified that there are a few key areas where the funding is either absent or it is not funded correctly. And I would say there was probably 3 main areas. One is there were no payroll funds included in the budget for poll worker payroll for any of the elections throughout the cycle. A second item is that the seasonal employees, which we are very reliant on, those were not correctly funded, especially the funding that is needed for the second half of the year, for the November general election, when we have more seasonal workers than we say would have in the spring. Now, working with OBM, the reason for this is it looks like when the snapshot was taken of what our staffing is, the poll worker payroll wasn't picked up in that snapshot. So that's why it is absent from our budget. And again, when that snapshot is taken mid-year, it did not take into consideration or fully consider the seasonal staff that come on board for the November general election cycle. Additionally, we are in the recommended budget. It has the Board of Elections with a recommendation of 96 full-time employees. We actually have 102 positions at the board. That is inclusive of our 4 board members. So that is 6 positions short. Now, those positions may have been vacant at the time of the snapshot, but as of today, I currently have 98 people on staff, and this is 96. So we will get there, but as you know, as people come and go, it's hard to be fully staffed. So what we have here on this table is so for 26 and 27 in the budget books, you have personnel and you have other. The first column of numbers is what is listed in the executive's recommended budget book. The next column after that, the CCBOE, that is what we need in order to maintain current levels of operations. And the last column then is that difference. So you can see it's approximately about $4 million short in each of the budget years. We have, and my staff have completed technical budget adjustment forms, working with the Office of Budget and Management staff, and have submitted those to them, I think ultimately to be presented to this body for hopefully approval. All right. So those numbers that you just saw are for us to maintain our operations at current level. It is not coming out with new initiatives, we are very cognizant of the current state of the county's budget. We are also very cognizant and appreciative of the investment in the board to go to 1803 Superior. So with that, we were not asking to be creative and come out with a bunch of different items new for this cycle. We're still trying to figure out how to work in the current space, and quite honestly, a lot of other people in Columbus, they determine how interesting our years get. As of like yesterday, the Senate passed Senate Bill 293, which changes timelines for when we can receive ballots at the board. Now, it hasn't been passed all the way through, so we have that. Or today, Cleveland.com headline, they're closing 23 Cleveland school buildings, of which I don't know how many yet are polling locations, so we'll be busy trying to figure out where those individuals are going to be. So there's always things that other people thrust on us to figure out. But there is one item that we will need to implement, and that is replacing our current voter registration system. And the and that will have to happen during this biennial budget. Now, the current system, it's a software system. It is 20 years old. It is dated. And in 2025, a new law went into effect, House Bill 74, which takes voter registration systems and now makes it as certified systems for use in Ohio. So it needs to be certified through the Ohio Secretary of State's office and the Ohio Board of Voting Machine Systems examiners. And so that is something that we will need to work on. Our current system, which is DIMS, again, it's 20 years old. It is dated. It is grandfathered in for now with the state. The vendor is not putting any money into that system because they are have developed a new system which they are taking for testing. And so we are hanging on while we can to what we have. A voter registration system is more than just the voter's registration. It is the system in which we keep a person's record, where they're registered to vote and maintain those. But it's also the system in which we issue vote-by-mail ballots. We issue really in-person ballots out of the system. When they come back, we return them to that. That's how we track who we've given a ballot to and who it's come back. Your voter history sits in that system. It is where you come in when you file your candidate petition work. It is where we take in those petitions. It's where we build the election, where we write our ballot language. It's the system we use to verify the signatures on those petitions. It is where we hire poll workers out of, how we assign them to poll places, where we pay them from. It is the system where we put in our polling locations and how we tie voters and precincts to polls. So it's much more than just a simple registration card. It's actually the heartbeat of the system, the most critical system that we have, that we use on a daily basis for election administration. So there's only certain periods in time, really, when we can make major change at the Board of Elections because of the way the election cycles go and election administration happens. And what I anticipate is the right time to implement a new voter registration system is during December of 2026 and January of 2027. It allows us to get through the November 26 general election, get those certification results, audit the election, and have a system in place prior to the filing deadline of February of 2027 for the May 27 primary. In order to hit that deadline, at the board, we would have to let a bid for a new system no later than the second quarter of 2026, pick a vendor, negotiate the contract, and have that all really figured out probably by the third quarter in 2026. So in the fourth quarter of 2026, we are starting data migration and being able to hit December 1st, 2026, getting really in and changing over, doing the data conversion, 100% dual testing and things like that nature. So all the numbers that you've seen, none of those are, this voter registration system is not in those numbers. That is something where I would come back at the future time and say, okay, we went out to bid, this is what it costs, this is what we need in order to implement the system. Talking to my colleagues around the state who recently have updated their systems for a size of a county like Cuyahoga, and I talked to Hamilton, I talked to Franklin, you're looking at an initial cost of about $1 million, and that is to do the data conversion and implement that software, train staff, and have it up and running. And then on an annual basis, there would be a $500,000 maintenance and licensing fee. That's what they're paying with their vendor. I think we would be in the ballpark of that, but they also went out to bid before there were certified systems. And so now we would probably be in Cuyahoga, one of the first counties that would be up for a system in this new certified environment. So, but I think that those numbers, and even talking offline with some of the vendors who do this work, that seems to be a number that would probably be likely. All right. So, in summary, really what I'm looking for in this budget cycle is I just want to be able to maintain the Board of Elections' current operations as we currently conduct them. And so what that means is for 2026, the technical budget adjustment that we provided to OBM, that would add $3,397,510,000 to the executive's recommended budget. In 2027, that technical budget adjustment, that adds $3,394,265,000 to the executive's recommended budget. And just a quick note, of those approximate $4 million a year, about half of it is poll worker payroll. So poll worker payroll for countywide is about $1 million for each of those. So that's $2 million if you have two countywides in that election. And then another significant portion is the seasonal workers. So we have 102 positions. We will then, on a countywide, and anywhere from 100 to 300 additional seasonal workers who are working there anywhere from 2 weeks up to 4 months, 120 days. So that is costly. So that accounts for a big portion of that. Now, in odd years, the Ohio Revised Code requires boards of elections to charge municipalities for certain costs. Some of those costs are poll worker pay and seasonal salaries. And so to give you an example, in 2023, the last time when we were able to charge our services, we billed for $2.5 million, and then that money is deposited directly into the county general fund. So I say that to mean in 2027, that almost $4 million, a big portion, and this is, again, that is making seasonal salaries, poll worker pay, most of that will be charged back to the communities, but not all. And the other piece is, again, we have 102 positions, and in the recommended budget, it has 96 listed. So I respectfully request that the council approve those technical adjustment forms when they come before you to fully fund us to maintain our current levels. And also, just to be cognizant that we do need a new voter registration system. Even if it wasn't a certified system, it's 20 years old. It's software. It's a dinosaur. And so it needs refresh. But I will guarantee that we will do our due diligence to vet those things and make sure we get the best system for this county that will be around for another 20 years, I won't be here. I'll be on this planet, but not in this role. And the future directors will have a good system in place. So that's what I needed to say. Thank you for your consideration and support, and what questions can I answer for you?
Thank you, Director Pilati. Ms. Conwell, and then Mr. Miller.
Yes, through the chair to Director Perlotti. How long is the system grandfathered in? Is there a cutoff date or anything like that?
There is not an official cutoff date. The vendor has indicated to us, though, they intend to sunset the service that they provide, or the support that they provide, at the end of '26. They do not want to continue to pay for that, because once they get their new product certified, that's what they want to focus on. They tell me that they won't leave us high and dry, but at the same time, they go, we're not going to keep this support forever. So I believe that we are good for 2026. I can't speak to 2027, and it's just because I don't control it. Now, if they stop supporting it, I still have the system, but if something breaks, I don't have a means to fix it.
A second question would be, any state assistance with this software system?
Not for the voter registration systems. I was kind of hoping that would come, because it did come with voting equipment. It came with electronic poll books, but they have not done anything with this, with voter registration systems.
Okay, and then Walter, if you could come up, I have a question for you. Through the chair to Mr. P., the fees that are charged to the municipalities, Walter, and held in the general fund, is there is it in the overall general fund, or is there in a special account for?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Conwell, they are deposited into the general fund.
So they could be used for anything, they're not just segmented off for Board of Elections? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, am I correct that for the new voter registration system, that you anticipate that we would need an initial setup cost for 2026 of about $1 million, but that we would not require annual licensing for 2026? That wouldn't come until 2027, so that we would need $1 million for 2026 and $500 for 2027. Is that correct?
So there's a, potentially there could be $1 million fee in 2026 and then $500,000 in 2027. However, what I'm not sure of, and what I would try to negotiate, is with this going live sometime December of 26 or January of 27, I would try to have nothing in 26, with $1 million being expended in 27, and then the first $500,000 annual fee in 28. With us going out, just because we select a vendor and we enter into this contract, one of the things I believe we did with our voting equipment, it wasn't until we went live and we were working with them under contract, but that first payment didn't happen till a future date. And so that was something we would try to work on with this, or it'd be a smaller initial payment, a good faith payment, say, for example, when working with them, but you'd have a signed contract. And then with the remainder of the fees being in 2027. So there is the possibility of $1 million in 26, 500,000 in 2027, but there's also, I think, because if it's at the end of the year, there could be some things where there may not be that full burden on budget year 26 with that. I don't know if I made things more confusing or if I was helpful.
Yeah, it's the latter. You were helpful. Thank
Okay.
you. And so, am I correct that both because of the state requirements and because of lack of support for the existing system, you feel you absolutely have to move on this next year? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, my comment about that is that that I don't support the idea that something that we know is going to happen is not provided for in the budget. The purpose of budgeting is to anticipate all reasonably known expenses, and this is a reasonably known expense. So, so what I'm suggesting is that if we're good on the Board of Elections moving forward on this, I think we have to budget for it. I think there could be some discussion as to whether it's $1 million or whether it's $1.5 million, and exactly where it's distributed time-wise. We could think about those things, but if we're authorizing the board to move on this, I don't think just saying we're not going to budget for it and that we're going to let them come back later and for a budget amendment. I don't think that's good budgeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gallagher, then Mr. Sweeney.
So you're not asking for any ups and extras. You're asking for money to provide the services that you presently are. The up and extra would be the implementation of a new system at the 1 million at one point, and then the 500,000 going forward yearly, right?
That's correct.
So to Mr. Miller's comment, so we don't need to look at the 1 million, we need to look at the 4 million per year.
The 4 million, yes, so the 4 million per year is so I can continue to exist at certain service levels. The additional, that would be, so that would go to 5, say, for example, in 26.
Right. What was the rationale for not giving you no money for poll workers? None?
No. And it's, my understanding is, and it's not that they don't want for me to operate without poll workers. It seems that the poll workers, the way that they have it set up within the budgetary screens, it's in the personnel area. However, they're not hourly employees. They get a lump sum payment. So whatever codes, these different index codes that they use, when they took the snapshot, there was nothing in that area, and it wasn't included. Now, we had submitted forms at the Board of Elections to bring this to the attention, and whatever happened, but here we are today, and it's not in there now. And
So again, I'm getting a little confused on how at least this administration budgets, because previous everybody's got a different way evidently of doing it. I thought there was only one way, the right way, but we haven't done it the right way. I can't recall how long. So take me through your process. How did you start your budget? Where did it go? Who was involved? And you sent it off, I would imagine, the administration. You had your request, and it came back. Is that what happened?
What happens is, we start to look at our numbers internally, and then the county executives, the Office of Budget Management will provided us with a base budget, an initial base budget, and we
With
review.
the information you provided them?
This is, not at that point. We get an initial base budget on their projections and their calculations. We're doing our internal work. We look at what that base budget is that they provide to us, and then
Hold on one second. How can they give you a base budget without the information that you have, or are they basing it on past?
On past. They're looking to, what they should be looking to is 4 years prior and the current year of where we are.
And they came back with less.
Yes. And so then,
Walter, you want to come on up here and explain this one away?
you want me to pause or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going because we just had this, so, but hold on one second.
Through the chair to the councilman. So when we started the budget process, we started with pay 13. I'm sure you've heard this before. Pay 13 didn't include poll workers and a limited number of Tony seasonal workers. Pay 13 was extrapolated, budget was developed based on that. But what we've done now is we've come up with these technical adjustments to restore everything that Tony was talking about.
And are those reflected in what's in front of us?
They will be added through the technical adjustment process.
This is a budget hearing. I'm supposed to be reviewing what you're recommended to him. He's come here with his hands out saying, I can't do my job without the proper dollars. You're telling me you're gonna now alter that? What's the point of this? This is, I'm sorry,
No,
and
I
I'm
understand,
frustrated.
Councilman.
This makes no sense.
It was missed in the process.
It was what?
It was missed in the process. We missed the poll workers, there was some confusion.
There's been, Walter, there's been a lot missed in process. My head's still spinning over this sheriff. Now my head's spinning over this. So we shouldn't be here unless we had everything in front of us. I understand their wants. They want to come in if they think they need more. That's what the process is. I get it. But are you, sir, aware of the alterations that he's talking about?
Yeah, no, we work together. My budget, my fiscal office manager then worked with Walter's staff to complete these forms, these technical budget adjustment forms to turn in for consideration. My understanding of that is it's at a future meeting, I believe, then the council will take those up.
When's the future meeting? Next week?
I believe next week. It'll be one of the final meetings where I'll present technical adjustments.
How many technical adjustments can we look forward to?
So far, what I have this year, I talked about the domestic relations. So there's a couple there, it's about $200,000. I have Tony's adjustments for his additional staff that he added after pay 13, as well as the temporary staff, the seasonal staff. There's also some adjustments for the Hughes building costs, which he will no longer pay, and also for some non-capital equipment and contracts. On top of that, we're adding a workers' compensation manager in HR, and we have a reduction to the law department's budget now with an assistant law director that will not be needed.
And what about the sheriff?
I don't have anything yet for the sheriff.
Okay.
We have a meeting scheduled to discuss some items.
What you just heard from Walter, does that take away the necessary 3.4 or 4 million that you're going to need, that you're testifying to, sir?
Yes, yes.
That makes you whole?
It makes me whole. As long as the forms passed as submitted are passed, it makes me whole.
Okay. Walter, where's
Again,
that-
minus the
Okay.
voter registration system.
All right. This is, so where's that money coming from?
General fund.
So do we have a balanced budget with all these amendments?
To the councilman,
And without going into reserves?
slightly at a deficit at
What's
this
slight?
point. About $1 million.
Not counting the sheriff?
No.
And future, whoever else is going to come up, not counting the request from juvenile court, not counting the prosecutor's request?
Councilman, I'll confirm the juvenile court request is not in the budget.
Right, yeah, okay. All right. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but we go through this every 2 years, and it's not every 2 years, but it's very confusing. And I've always been, when a budget's put on the table, that's it. And then adjustments can come, I get that. That's after council reviews. this is different.
Councilman, I work closely with Anthony, and I think
I would hope that, but what he's testifying to is a concern that he's not going to get it. And we can't have that. And I understand, we're tight. We got a tight budget. I get it. But we're going to have to adjust and alter things substantially.
well, Councilman, I'll say this, that this was done in error. There was no,
Okay, well, we all make errors, but it just confuses the process.
when we started with pay 13 and they weren't there, and then there was some confusion about poll workers versus seasonal workers. Poll workers are now being paid through our accounts payable system, not the payroll system. There was quite a bit of confusion there.
I know they struggle with poll workers, and I have 3 neighbors that do that, but wouldn't do it if they weren't getting paid, that's for sure.
Of course.
So, all right, thank you.
Walter, what, when was the error discovered?
I would say realistically, Tony, what, about a month ago? A couple weeks ago?
And so this technical form that you're referring to, what's the procedure? How long does that take for processing?
Oh, it would just be presented to council. If approved, we'll make all the necessary adjustments to the budgets.
The technical adjustments that you currently are aware of, can you share those, like, not in a complicated document, but just in a,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got it here on one piece of paper.
you'll share that with us? Okay. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Director, it's nice seeing you, Walter. You don't have to hang around.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. Rave reviews through the chair for the operations that you have at 1801.
1803.
1803. But the one complaint that I get, they're driving down the street, they can't see it. Your signage is terrible, right? It's, when you walk inside, you got 2 flags out there, right? The trees are pretty. There's nothing that, right, East 30th and Euclid. I'm going to Board of Elections. There's a big sign up there, the parking's bad. What are we doing? I know it's our public works, it's responsible, but the signage has to, I've been chirping on this for a while, but right now it's budget time, and what's your thoughts on the signage through the chair?
You are correct. There needs to be much better signage. I've learned a lot through this building process. There are architects and consultants for every single aspect of the building. And so as regarding signage, Public Works, and through this project, hired a architecture firm to come up with the signage. There is an external signage package that was created. HHS and the Board of Elections, working with Public Works, viewed which is much more substantial exterior signage that will happen. Then the Public Works created this package, and they had to submit it to, I believe it's the City of Cleveland, for approval on different signs of signage and where it can be placed and all of those things. And through Public Works, I think that the signage package was finally approved, I think maybe within the last month. I'm just going to pause for a second. Is that right, Tone, or no? Yeah. So then what that means from when then something appears on the building, I don't know.
But it's coming.
It's coming. We want it. We've wanted it. I wish it was already there.
Yeah.
So, because you are correct, when you drive down Superior, other than those temporary signs that are sitting on the corner, one at 18th and Superior, one at 21st and Superior, one says Dropbox, one says
And there's
voter
one
parking.
One says, don't go in these doors.
Yeah, yes. So those, but there's currently no street address on the front. There is a little small Board of Elections on the side. All of that is supposed to change with this permanent package, and Mike Dever can speak to it much better than I can, but like in the one spot, there's supposed to be a gigantic sign on the front of the building that says Board of Elections. In the parking lots, there's supposed to be monument signs in the front directing you where to go. So we have done at the Board of Elections the best we can with our own little A-frame signs to try to get things where we could, construction signs that we rented to say, you know, voter parking here and things like that. Public Works has, when you go in, the doors off the parking lot, there is a sign that says Board of Elections up there. That is something that Public Works created. That's temporary signage. That's supposed to get replaced with new signage. So all that is in the works, is coming. I cannot give you a date. I wish I could, of when it's actually going to be installed, because I want to know. I want it up there.
Yeah, and through our chair, I just wanted to highlight it
Yeah.
as an issue that is just going to enhance the wonderful experience that is occurring at that building. But when you get phone calls from your constituents, it's problematic. And for the right to, they'll find it, but it just takes away from the wonderful excitement of taking to the new place.
100% agree, and cannot, again, I cannot get here soon enough, that information.
As long as it's
people
coming, I know Director Devers working his tail off, and it gets complicated, and I'm just glad it's coming. It's part of it. In my eyes, I didn't know if it was even considered.
Oh, yeah.
And what's happening, so it's in the process, and it'll get there.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Mr. Castleberry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Director Perlotti, for being here today. I'm going back to Mr. Gallagher's questioning. And so the whole time I'm sitting there in my head thinking about your short $3.4 million for essential poll workers. So my mind was taking me, what are we going to cut? What services are going to suffer? Because we need these poll workers. So you're telling us 100%, you know that this is going to be funded with a technical adjustment. So we don't have to worry about other cuts. These elections are going to go off smooth. We're going to have enough money for the poll workers, and nothing else is going to be cut.
So here's what I can tell you. I've never had to do a technical budget adjusted form, okay? So, but as explained to me through Walter and working with my fiscal manager, she meticulously filled them out. There's actually 4 of them. Because the way that we're set up, we have a primary election, general election, so she's got it down to that detail for each type of thing. And they're submitted. So I can 100% tell you that the forms that my staff created are complete, comprehensive, and submitted. As far as I can go. Because it's out of my hands. I've provided it. And then it's, I believe, like what Walter said, him presenting it to this body for you then to consider and do what you need to do. So I guarantee they're correct and they're submitted. That's all I can guarantee you, because that's what was in my control. I can also say that if they were passed as completed, I do have what I need to maintain the current level of service, poll workers, seasonals, and everything. If they are not, so if they are not, if they're rejected and I get 0 out of that, I don't know. No more voter education. I'm trying to eliminate as many precincts as I can to eliminate poll places and poll workers and all of that. If it's partially approved, you know, then I got to figure out, well, what is that partial? Is it $1 million, 2, 3? I don't, you know. So, but the core thing is, if they are authorized by this council as submitted, I'm good. If not, that's another conversation.
And through the chair, thank you for your answer. Because it would have been nice, you know, if we known about the technical adjustments, because like I said, my head's going in a totally different direction, not aware of that. So I'm glad that we know that information. And I do have one follow-up. It's not really budget. It has to do with the signage. You talked about maybe having a hard time finding it. But overall, was the overall experience for you guys is a success, the new location, all the people coming in? You know, you can answer this quickly. I know other people have questions, but were you happy with the overall process?
Yes, the voters who have come for early in-person voting have definitely loved the experience. It's bright. They think it's fast, it's quick. There's ample parking, and parking was a horrible thing. The one minor complaint from some folks, not all, the parking lot's too far away. Okay, so I understand that, but it's a parking lot that's ours, and I'm not sending them to 5 different ones and trying to navigate in there. So the voters have loved it. I think the candidates who have come in and who have filed paperwork, I think they like it. I think it's, again, it's bright, welcoming, and good. For the Board of Elections operations, the actual size of the space is good for us, and the freshness of it is good. There are some mechanical issues with that building that Public Works and the landlord are working through that they need to get fixed. And it's important that they do that, and they are actively doing that. So I'm not saying that there's no issue. From the public interfacing side, good. But there are some infrastructure things that now that the building is occupied and people are using it, some things come to light and they have to fix these things.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, just on a point of the experience at the Board of Elections.
Mr. Sweeney and then Ms. Simon.
Yeah, just one of the things that I heard from my constituents, when you're walking out, you get to take a picture to vote it with the backdrop there. That was pretty cool when people called up and they're excited about that. I just wanted to share that. It's whoever's idea was that. It's well received.
They thought about putting my face on that, but they said, no, that wouldn't be such a good experience anymore.
Ms. Simon.
Thank you. They had a different backdrop at the 30 in Euclid for photos, which was nice. I just wanted to briefly go back to Councilman Gallagher's question about the process, because we got disrupted. I think we got 2 stages into it. As I understand it, the executive team gave you their budget based on past numbers. Then you got that and said, wait a minute, this is short. And did you call, get a meeting, and say, hey, we're missing this money for these poll workers, et cetera?
All the above.
Okay.
So called, submitted my fiscal manager submitted paperwork to OBM. Then we had a meeting down here in the county administration building, myself, the deputy director, and fiscal manager with Walter and his team, and we went over and again, we highlighted areas that we felt were deficient on our part, thought that everything was accounted for and okay, and then the recommended budget was published, and
Okay, so after you had this meeting, then the recommended budget still went forward without your specific
yes,
highlight that there was deficiencies?
yes.
Okay. So despite that meeting, nothing changed. And when was that? Rough, like weeks, months? I don't know how long you've been engaged in this.
My sense of time is so
It's
screwed up
okay.
these days with the election. It's been within the last 2 months.
Okay.
All these things.
So you saw this budget, and when, if at all, did you ever find out that that the administration would invite you to fill out this technical form?
We had submitted some technical adjustment forms previously, and then we redid or did new ones within the last, I say probably within the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
That we sent
So the
those
first
over.
technical adjustment forms you filled out were not incorporated into this budget book?
Okay. Can I put someone on the spot with me?
I don't know,
Or
Madam
do you
Chair.
not
Yes,
want
please.
that?
No, it's okay, it's okay. You just described the process
Okay.
for me. All right, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Miller, Ms. Conwell.
So, Madam Chair Director, when I brought up about the funding for the voter registration system, I didn't mean to suggest that the operational deficiencies don't have to be addressed, which they do, and I would just want to say that that for years you've run high-quality elections that inspire voter confidence in the integrity of the system. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, there have been those who have deliberately or not deliberately undermine public confidence in the voting process. So in this environment, it's even more important that we run high quality, reliable elections. So I just want to say that I recognize your service and your leadership, and we've just had good elections here that we can have confidence in. So I'm grateful for that. I'd like to ask Director Parfiowitz, if I may, back for a moment. So, Director, I'm going to start by sticking up for you and saying that there's always technical amendments, and there's always been a good number of those, and this is nothing new, and it's a very complex process, and things get missed, and also things change over the course of the 2 months of the budget process. So we should not be concerned about there being technical amendments. That having been said, there shouldn't be technical problems of the size of this one. You know, when I deal with numbers, I do two things. One is that I go through specific calculation processes and come up with numbers, but I also just eyeball it. And when you came out with a budget number that was two or three or 4 million less than what they've recently been spending, that should have been immediately a red flag that I at least should ask, why is this out of sync with what we've been recently spending? My question is, do you have a process like that where when you go through your pay period 13 or whatever you choose, when you go through your process and you come up with a number, do you just eyeball it and ask whether it's reasonable, and do you talk to the director and say, does this look reasonable? There should have been two processes, either one that should have flagged this. So I'm looking for some guidance as to why that didn't happen.
Councilman, we do go through a process. We extract the data. We do eyeball it. It's assigned to an administrator who has a manager, right? We also met with the department. These items were discussed, but they were never really added back into the budget. That was the true process. It was just omitted. They were aware of these things. I can't contradict what Tony's saying. He is correct. So in the end of the day, I take the responsibility for this.
So is it more of a matter that that you realized these problems existed, but somehow by mistake, the process of adding them back into the budget didn't happen? Is that what we're talking about?
That is correct, Councilman.
Okay.
Ms. Conwell. Thank you. My questions are to Walter. Through the chair to Walter P., the $1 million deficit after the technical amendments are made, it was discussed. Are they inclusive? Yeah, 'cause when you were previously up here, you stated that. Are they inclusive of any the software? Because you said it'd be about $1 million deficit.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, no, that $1 million is not in the number. I made a note here about the new system and the new software.
Okay. And then my other question would be, going through this budget process, and probably some others, but this one I've noticed, as we have discussed different departments or different things, they're looked at different pays. Why is that? Why are we paid 13 for this? The sheriff, we looked at paid 19. I'm not
Yes,
understanding.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we did two different pay periods for the different departments. When we started the budget process in June, we used pay 13 for everyone. And if you recall, I believe it was the first or second week of August that the chief of staff instilled the hiring freeze on the county executive departments. So when they instilled the hiring freeze, we were able to reduce the budget a little bit further by going to pay 19 for the county executive departments. So just so clear, county executive departments all budgeted at pay 19, which was the first pay in September. Everyone else, whether it was in the elected officials category, meaning the courts or the boards and commissions, those were all budgeted at pay 13, which I believe was the second pay in June.
But why do we do that? Why aren't we?
Primarily-
If you started out with initially pay 13 for everybody, how do we get these separate pays?
To the councilwoman, through the chair to the councilwoman, it's primarily due to the hiring freeze that was started in August that allowed the county executive to reduce the budgets for the county executive departments a little further, knowing that we were not going to hire staff back for the rest of the year and 2026. And it's also included in 2027 at this point. So we have not increased anyone's budget. We're hoping that our revenues increase over the next several years, and if they do, the thought was that we could add some appropriations back incrementally.
Okay, so beyond the hiring freeze, would that also, I lost my train of thought. And my next question would be through the chair to Mr. Perlotti. So I just want to be clear. So you testified that you had already discussed with the fiscal department. When you saw me and told me about this issue, you had already met in regards to the technical amendments that you needed at that time, but nobody had addressed it?
We had it, I believe, at that point in time, we had the discussion about that things needed to change, but the actual physical form, I don't think it was created at that point. I didn't know about, the form's new.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Gallagher?
Okay, just to clarify, I well understand the technical amendments, but leaving out a group of people like that's not a technical amendment. It's an error. Understood. We move on. You filled out the paperwork, sir. You turned it over. Walter, are they going to be getting in the technical amendments everything they're asking for?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
Tony and I and Laterra work through all these items. We're basically number for number.
And were those technical amendments anticipated when the county executive presented the budget?
Through the chair to the councilman, no, they were not.
So we don't have a balanced budget.
At this point, we're slightly off, I would say about $1 million.
Are you working on that, or?
Yes, I'm working on that.
Because it's literally in our hands, so if you're working on that, you should be going through us, so we know what's going on.
Through the chair to the councilman, I can share what I have thus far as technical adjustments.
Okay.
And, once we finish the last of the budget hearings, I'll finalize the list. Generally, it's something I present just before.
Okay, and the final cost of that technical amendment, and this isn't including the IT, I understand that. What's that total?
Of the total technical adjustments that I have thus far, or just those that relate to Tony?
Related to the Board of Elections?
I believe the 2026, $3,397,510. 2027, $3,394,265.
Are those the numbers?
Yes, Councilman, those are
Okay,
correct.
And we'll further, I would imagine we'll further have discussions on the IT part of this. I don't know if that necessarily needs to be put in this budget. That would be a technical amendment. that we can probably deal with a little bit later, but still a little confusing, but I think we're getting there. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions for either Walter or Director Perlardi? Okay, I'll just say that election integrity is foundational and public trust depends on systems that are secure and dependable. A system of this age highlights the importance of early communication and operational transparency so council can plan along with the administration responsibly to ensure continuity. So we'll be looking to work with you, Walter, on this. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Nothing further? Director Pallotti, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now hear from the County Agency of the Inspector Department of Internal Auditing. Director Swaysgood. Anytime you're ready.
Oh. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and council members of the committee. I am Corey Swaysgood. I'm the Director of Internal Audit. Today I'll be presenting on the Department of Internal Audit's proposed 2026 and 2027 budget, highlighting requested budgeted items. My department provides independent, objective assurance and advisory services to help improve management practices, identify operational improvements, and reduce risk exposure. We follow global internal auditing standards and best practices to ensure our work adds value to the county. The Audit Committee provides oversight to the Department of Internal Audit, which helps ensure our work remains independent, objective, and aligned with county priorities. I first want to thank the county executive and county council for your continued support of internal audit's work across the county. I truly appreciate the executive's inclusion of our additional budget request in the 26-27 biennial budget, and for council's consideration of this request with both myself and the Audit Committee believe is essential to continue delivering value-added services to the county. The Department of Internal Audit is fully funded by the general fund. The proposed 2026 budget is $950,908, reflecting a $47,867 increase from the initial base budget. This is included in the executive's proposed budget. The 2027 budget is $944,277 with the $21,332 increase during that year. These increases are primarily due to modest growth in personnel costs and additional funding for outsourced audit services to address capacity and expertise gaps in the Department of Internal Audit. I will address these requests in more details here shortly. The majority of our budget, 87% in 2026 and 90% in 2027, is allocated to personnel, which supports 6 full-time FTEs. Our contracted services, which include support and maintenance of our audit management software and data analytics software, make up 3% of our total budget. In 2026, we have a budget for an external quality assessment on our operations, which I will talk about here in a moment. This is why contracted services are shown as 6% of the total budget in 2026. Budget for trainings, travel, and certifications consistently make up 2% of our annual budget. The remaining budget supports the requested outsourced audit services, which will be presented in the next slide. Overall, approximately 95% of our budget is reoccurring, which are focused on core operations. In 2026, we will undergo an external quality assessment, or what's called a peer review, which is required every 5 years under the internal auditing standards and the county charter. This is already included in our base budget at $29,000, just a one-time cost every 5 years, so it'll only be in 2026. A peer review is an operation and compliance audit of the Department of Internal Audit and Audit Committee to ensure we are following internal auditing standards. Essentially, it's just an audit of the auditors. We are also requesting $50,000 in additional funding to support outsourced audit services for 2026 and 2027. This will also allow us to expand audit coverage, improve timeliness of audit results, reduce duplication of efforts by evaluating and optimizing internal or external audit activities throughout the county. This is also an opportunity for our office to collaborate even more with the PRC on HR compliance audits. By working together, we can reduce duplication of audit efforts, particularly in HR. Given PRC's expertise in HR compliance and the county's charter requirement that PRC provide compliance audits in this area, we believe that a properly staffed audit function in PRC would more effectively and efficiently deliver the necessary HR audit coverage than having two independent departments overlapping work. I do want to, despite my efforts to keep her, I do want to thank Rebecca for her service over the last 15 years, and congrats on retirement. Co-sourcing allows us to transition select external audits. Sorry, apologies. Selected external audits to internal oversight, reducing costs and improving alignment with county priorities. This will also eliminate duplication of efforts if internal audit has oversight over other external audits and is aware of other audit services that are occurring. We can weigh whether to perform the audit internally or outsource to a capable audit firm. Co-sourcing also enables our internal audit team to focus on more advisory and other value-added services that directly support county departments. If we can outsource more specialized audits to experts that can provide more timely results. We can also gain access to specialized experts such as IT security without the recurring long-term costs of a full-time staff. Budget will only be used when needed during the year based on the audit committee's approved audit plan. In 2025, just as an example, we had 4 audits that were deferred due to limited internal capacity. Co-sourcing could help us efficiently and strategically close these gaps. We believe the additional budget request, which again is included in the executive's budget, gives us the foundation to launch this effort and begin delivering more responsive, targeted audited services where they are most needed. Before concluding, I just want to express my gratitude to the audit committee and my internal audit staff for their dedication and professionalism. Their work adds tremendous value to the county operations, and I wouldn't be up here speaking confidently if it wasn't for them. Again, thank you for your attention today and continued support of the internal audit activity. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, are there any questions? Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, Director, thank you for your service. I always say that we have 4 forms of oversight. We have internal audit, external audit, inspector general, and council oversight. And together, I think we flag things that need to be flagged and deal with things before they become serious problems. The $50,000 for the co-sourcing, you said that's included in the executive's budget as it stands, is that correct?
Correct.
And is the 50,000, is it 50,000 per year, or is it just in 1 year, or is it 25,000 in each year? How is that?
It's currently $50,000 per year.
So for both 26 and 27?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair, to Mr. Swadegood. So going back to your second chart, which is the 2026-2027 budget, when we talk about personnel services and the adjustments, what is in 2026, or is that the number 1,993? Is that who you've added on already?
No, that, through the chair to Councilwoman Conwell, that was part of it was added on after the initial base was added. So the additional amount, I think that was after the pay, I don't know if that was pay 13, and maybe Walter could help me speak of that.
So is that people or is that dollar amounts, that
That's
1,000?
That's just a dollar amount.
Okay.
I don't know if it's related to taxes or benefits, or
Has nothing to do with adding additional staff or anything, just with the current staff in place. That was part of cost of living and healthcare increases.
Okay.
Thank you, Walter.
And for the outsourced audit services that you utilize, has that been an adequate budget for what you need for your department?
The $50,000 is a good starting point. It'll be our first year going through that process. I've taken the last year or so to talk to other departments, other audit activities, and the audit committee about outsourcing. And we feel the $50,000 is sufficient to start that process and that utilizing outsourcing services.
Okay, in terms of, for your slide number 3, contracted services, so higher in 2026 versus 2027. Please explain to me why the difference?
The 2026 is higher due to the peer review that we have to contract out every 5 years. So it's only a one-time expense for this budget cycle. So 2027 would be lower.
So it's due again when, 30? Have to do it again?
It would be 30, or 2031, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Is there anything further? Nothing further. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, we'll now hear from the County Agency of an Inspector General, Inspector General Alexa Beeler. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Turner. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Alexa Beeler. I am the Inspector General for Cuyahoga County, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today on behalf of the Agency of Inspector General. I want to thank the county executive and his team for their proposed budget, which allows the Agency of Inspector General to be fully funded for the next 2 years. I will keep my remarks brief, but do want to take a few moments to highlight the important work of our agency in my effort to urge you to adopt the administration's proposed budget for the AIG. Our mandates come from the Charter and the County Code, and they can imperfectly be grouped into 3 main categories: ethics and outreach, contractors and lobbyists, and complaints and investigations. I will briefly cover much of this detail on the next 3 slides, where I will share our accomplishments in these areas during this current biennial as we discuss our budget for the next biennial. The Inspector General serves as the county's chief ethics officer and is charged with upholding and enforcing the county ethics code. The AIG conducts proactive ethics education and receives, researches, and responds to ethics inquiries, as well as required disclosures aimed at preventing impermissible conflicts of interest. As you'll see on the slide, over this past biennial budget period, we issued 433 ethics opinions and additionally opined on 97 nepotism statements and 578 secondary employment disclosures. I want to put the number of ethics opinions in perspective by comparing it to the average that we saw prior to my time, which was 39 ethics opinions in a semi-annual period, which would have reflected a total of about 150 for this period. So 433 ethics opinions in less than 2 years is really incredible. And it's also exciting because it shows we are accessible and approachable. People are comfortable reaching out to us and they want to do the right thing. And it also reflects on our team's ability to handle oftentimes incredibly complex ethics inquiries in a timely and thorough fashion. The AIG administers the county's contractor registration program. Registration is a 3-part process and requires the contractor to fill out a registration form, pay a fee, and take our ethics training that's tailored to contractors. You'll see on the slide that over the past almost 2 years, we've registered 819 contractors. Also, as part of the registration process, we conduct a comprehensive background check on the contractors and their principals to ensure the county is only doing business with upright individuals and entities. So while we don't separately track the number of background checks, it's at least 1,600 during this time period. We additionally enforce the county's debarment law. In 2024 and 2025, we completed 48 debarment matters and debarred 10 contractors. Complaints and investigations is probably what we are best known for. We maintain the county's whistleblower hotline and receive complaints from all sources. We also investigate alleged violations of the county ethics code, as well as fraud, waste, and abuse. We administer a data analytics program, which helps us to proactively detect anomalies which could be indicative of fraud, and which has been instrumental in identifying waste through our accounts payable and payroll analytics. As you'll see, over the last biennial period, we received and triaged 242 whistleblower complaints. We completed 84 investigations during this time frame, and we have at least 9 investigations that will wrap up over the next month or so, which would bring that number to 93. Through the investigations completed over the past 2 years, we have identified a little over $2.3 million in challenged costs, but what I am most proud of is the figure on the slide. That figure of almost $1.4 million represents waste that we identified through our investigations that we verified the county then recouped after our finding. So this is money that the county got back after we identified the issue. This figure not only reflects on the excellence of our team to conduct these thorough and oftentimes incredibly complex investigations, including those through our data analytics program, and also our improved processes that includes continued follow-up with the departments to make sure these monies are being actively pursued, but it's also a huge reflection on the departments and the county employees involved because they are the ones working to recover these funds while also doing their daily jobs. This slide contains the executive's recommended budget for the next biennial period. The budget for personnel services is 95% of our overall budget and covers the salaries and benefits of our 9 team members. Our budget for other expenses contains the remaining 5% of our total budget and includes funds for our 3 mission-critical contracts, which include a case management system, e-discovery software, and investigative software that we use for our background checks and investigations. It also includes other necessary operating expenses, such as office supplies and continued development of our most valuable asset, our staff, which is absolutely essential to fulfill our mission with the highest degree of excellence. You will see that the administration approved a slight increase, which is due to the increase in the employer's share of health coverage, the COLA, and the cost of our case management system increasing yearly, and takes into consideration that over the next 2 years, 2 of our contracts will be expiring, and we will very likely be facing increases over our current prices. We hope you agree that we run a cost-efficient agency with a high return on investment, and respectfully request that you accept the executive's recommended budget for the AIG, which recognizes our critical role in county government and allows us to continue to successfully carry out our mandates. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the Inspector General? It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Hear from the Department of Law Director, Richard Rick Maniloff.
Pardon me while I attempt to operate this. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm sorry, I was pressing the wrong green button. There we go. Okay. Hello to the chair and to members of council. I am Rick Maniloff, the Law Director, presenting on the Law Department's budget for 2026 and 2027. I will be succinct. The Law Department was established under Article 2, Section 3.092 of the County Charter by County Council in 2011. Under the charter, we advise and represent both the county executive and county council. In the Law Department, we currently have 21 FTEs allocable to the Law Department's line 100-100, with 4 other FTEs allocable to other budgetary lines so as to avoid double counting, including 3 in HHS and 1 in Public Works. Our proposed 2026 and 2027 budget for personnel is shown on this slide, which simply maintains the current personnel that we have had for the entirety of 2025. The proposed budget that you see on the slide for other expenditures is also shown and consists of three basic items, each of which is displayed in the executive's budget book on page 28, namely, number one, about $500,000 for expenses and contracts that the law department manages. More on that in a second. A little over $2.3 million for our risk management related contracts with Alliant for insurance brokerage and other services, and Samba Safety for driver's license validations, as well as enterprise risk management costs. And number three, $954,881 for settlements, which is based upon 2024 actuals for purposes of this budget, but which varies from year to year. Indeed, looking back, the actual for 2023 was over $3 million. As for the large contracts that the law department manages, there are basically two. The LexisNexis contract for legal research and AI services used by at least 10 different departments, offices, and agencies throughout the county, which amounts to $315,552 in 2026 and $331,332 in 2027, compared to $300,528 projected for this year. And the Matrix contract, that's the second big contract that we manage for case management and database services, which amounts to a bit more than $34,000 in each of the years 2026 and 2027. In summary, the proposed budget for LW 100-100 essentially reflects the current state of affairs with COLA and health insurance increases and a contractual increase in the LexisNexis contract. As for risk, we are budgeting for an enterprise risk management consultant, which was something that we worked on during the last budget cycle and are now seeking to expand with the support of our internal auditor and many others. To conclude, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the county as law director and to work with the creative, hardworking, and intelligent individuals on the law department team. I respectfully request approval of the law department's budget as presented, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
President Miller and Ms. Simon.
Madam Chair, Director, I would just like to thank you and your department for the support, advice, and effective representation that you've provided for the council, and to say that that your assistance has been both reactive and proactive. You've responded to us when we've raised concerns and issues and needed opinions and requested them. And also you've been proactive in bringing things to our attention that you felt we needed to be aware of and to help us work through them. So I just want to thank you very much for your service to us.
Through the chair, thank you.
Simon?
Thank you. To the law director, thank you as well for your work as our law director. I think we're very privileged to have you. My question is about the range of salaries of our lawyers in the law department, and whether those are on par with law firms or less than, and how they compare to maybe the prosecutor's office.
Through the chair, to Councilwoman Simon, thank you for the question. As to the question about the salaries and compensation of law department attorneys relative to the market, I would state that the average salary of our non-supervisory assistant law directors, and there's 13 of those, independent of experience, so our average is $102,000, is evidently just 90% of the target for assistant law directors in the marketplace at the lowest level. So again, at the lowest level, we're about 90% of that independent of experience. So relative to the market, based upon recent market analysis, the law department attorneys are underpaid, to put it bluntly. And I would say the same for those in the prosecutor's office, civil division, that compared to the market, they are also underpaid. And as to your question about the salaries of the law department attorneys and others versus the civil division of the prosecutor's office attorneys, as stated in the article that appeared today, they're roughly on par, within 1% of each other when you take in all salaries and compare the two. So I hope that's responsive to your question.
It is. Thank you so much, Mr. Law Director. However, are, in your opinion, still able to recruit talent to our law department despite maybe a smidgen under what the market might pay? And why would that be?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. We have been fortunate over the last couple of years to have retained the talent that we have in the law department, and to have attracted excellent attorneys and others in the law department. We are really gelling as a department. Everyone is doing good work. There's a good feeling of being on a team and of serving the public. And so there's, I think, one of the reasons for accepting less than market compensation is that the feeling that you get from serving the public, which as to which there is no monetary value. And but I think also why people are coming and why people are staying is a result of what we have in the department right now, which is special. I would say, I actually have statistics that from December 2017 through August 2023, for that time period that I took a look at, there were 22 departures, including 19 attorneys who left, with only 2 of them due to retirements. And so we were losing about 4 people per year, with a base of 20 to 25, which had a significant effect on efficiency. And we have not had a departure now roughly in the last 2 years at that point. So we've developed a lot of efficiencies as a result of that through retention. And so I hope that response is a full response to your question.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate our law department and the attorneys and their dedication to the work that's in front of them.
Thank you.
I think that there are no more questions for you. You were very succinct. Thank you so much for that. And no? Okay. Well, thank you, Director Maniloff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trevor McAleer, I don't have Andre, I don't have the schedule for next week. Can you come speak to it right quick before we adjourn?
Yes, Madam Chair, Trevor McAleer, County Council staff. So our next Committee of the Whole budget hearings is on Monday at 1 o'clock, I believe. And the schedule, I know we're starting off with Metro Health. Let me pull it up. Okay, on Monday, we have Metro Health, and then we have Brandy Carney presenting the opioid fund and public safety and justice services. And then Maisha Watkins is going to come in and present her office. They don't have a separate budget. They're part of public safety, but you wanted her to come in to present what she's been doing since she started. Then Clerk Bird is going to be here to discuss clerk of courts. Dr. Gilson will be here for medical examiner. Paul Herdig will be here for Department of Development. Anthony Scott will be presenting the Housing and Community Development budget. Then Mary Zerby will be here for the County Planning Commission. Kristen Hall will be here for Soil and Water. Melanie Knowles will be here for Sustainability. And then Mike Dever and Mike Foley will be presenting for Public Works and Public Works Utilities.
Okay, that's a plan.
1 o'clock on Monday.
1 o'clock Monday. All right, thank you. Is there any miscellaneous business? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.